good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. And it is a beautiful morning. It is a Wednesday all day long. The last time I checked, the 19th of August. Good to see everybody, and that includes Teri Chamberlain. Good morning, Teri.
Good morning.
And it is good morning because Dave Poehls. Good morning to you, Dave.
You mean it's a good morning? Thank you so
because
much.
you bought out the American collage.
Oh, they helped us out.
Oh, boy, I tell you what. No. This is, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not been there, you're missing a real treat. It is absolutely wonderful, very reasonably priced. Mm-hmm. And, well, describe what we're eating this morning, compliments of Dave and the good people.
Oh, no, compliments of American collage. That's how you pronounce it. I'm wondering.
Yeah,
I've gone through collage, and I've said I need a lesson. Collage.
It should be changed. American Colossal.
Oh, there they are, colossal. And I'll tell you what, we've got the dessert ones. Hey, better than a donut, I might add, because you have everything you need there.
And healthier.
Yes. And you know what's interesting, too? Frank's Italian Beef has kind of worked with them a little bit, too. And so we've got Italian beef in one of them, too.
Oh, really?
So we've got lunch, breakfast, and dinner, all in a wonderful warm box. How about that?
And you know what is neat about it? It is a franchise, as I understand. Yeah. But it's locally owned, as many franchises are, and you couldn't ask for a nicer lady. She's a registered nurse, Melanie is, and just a real sweetheart.
Oh, yeah.
And then the gal who works the counter,
Valerie. Yeah, she was this morning. Valerie this morning told her whole story, and she loved. I asked her. I said, "How'd you end up?" She says, "I just love Peoria. I love everybody. You know what? You'll appreciate this. For a short time, she went to Woodruff High School. She said
she did.
And then, as you know that, there you go. See, we got the Woodruff
great
And then she said she went over to East Peoria, I think, and then now lives in West Peoria.
Well, that's all right. That's a good high school.
Yeah, well, she got a good start, right?
Yeah, she did. That's right. They set the bar high for her, but it just and I want to tell everybody, I don't know the 100 block of Knoxville. All I know is across the street what used to be Lum's restaurant.
Correct.
And isn't there a tire place, or there was
right across the
street?
It's directly across the street from Firestone. Yeah. There's also I think it's a Starbucks right across the street. Drive through Starbucks. So if you go, if you're heading downtown, just forget the hill, so let's say you're heading downtown. If off to your right would be the Starbucks, but off to your left is the wonderful, wonderful American collage.
Yeah, and it's right next to Dunkin' Donuts. You gave a plug to Starbucks. You give a plug to another donut joint.
Yeah. You wouldn't go hungry on that one.
No, you would not.
No,
and you get your tires fixed.
You have to look for it, because I was surprised, because I drive up and down Knoxville, at least once or twice a year. And
you've had your moments.
And I kind of like to avoid it. It's just heavy travel, a lot of cars, trucks, etc., and so forth. But you have to look for it.
Yeah.
You have to have a general idea of where you're going, so that
As I parked my truck, which I affectionately call the USS Enterprise, today, I had to kind of maneuver into the parking lot, but easily done, well lit, and they have a food truck now, I guess, too.
Yeah. She said she would just start.
It looks like a big yellow.
Getting that off the ground.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, literally, you don't want the truck to get off the ground.
No, but
you want to keep it on the ground.
Yeah, but what's so sensational is the bread. The buns, the dough, DOUGH, just really delicious. It really, your first bite, even before you get to the goodies inside, is soft. Delicious.
Yeah, very soft. And
I always wonder, just how do you know how much you're putting in? But I guess they have it down to a scientific formula. What'd you wind up getting this morning?
I'm going to have the Italian beef one.
Oh, okay.
Roger, what would you like? Would you like something?
Well, in a way, yes, but it's hard to announce while you're eating, and that's why I know you keep looking at it affectionately and saying, "Would you get on with the news?" And
a muffled voice, as
it were. You do have a script, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you had it hidden there. She was deciding, do I want to read the script or do I want to start eating? Well, let's save you the, what would you call it, the hesitation
Anticipation.
Anticipation.
Yes.
Let's hit some
Yeah,
ketchup.
you're right. Let's get into things immediately so we can all enjoy the wonderful food this morning. You know, you're really spoiling us. We're spoiling ourselves, thanks with the help of some wonderful listeners. You know, Tim Callahan brought in a breakfast buffet.
Oh.
On Friday.
Yeah, was it Friday last Friday?
Yes, it was Friday.
I mean,
more often than
oh, gee, I mean,
You know, I've
exactly.
listened to a couple times when I'm out here. I'm like, I want to stop in for
It's
food.
not my day. Yeah.
Yeah. When we say breakfast with Roger and friends, that's what we mean.
Literally.
So, yeah, you
Yes.
bet. Well, let's start with our live weather. Brought to you this morning by who else? Our weather guy, who happens to be also an insurance specialist. We're talking about Kyle Varnold. Kyle, available to answer your questions and queries about homeowners, car, truck, and vehicle, plus health and life coverage. And you can reach Kyle today at 309-682-0519. Well, first of all, we want to tell everybody, to the surprise of no one, flood watch beginning at 1 this afternoon until 1 tomorrow morning, so be aware of that. Otherwise, partly sunny today until around 1 this afternoon, according to the National Weather Bureau, when we could get some heavy showers and thunderstorms. That's after 1 this afternoon. Today's high, a pleasant 80 degrees tonight, mostly cloudy. Possible showers tonight, overnight low 64. How about tomorrow? Sunny, 81 the high. Friday sunny and 82, and Saturday sunshine and 81. Right now we're at 70 degrees with our humidity at 97%. Now the news with Teri and Dave.
Well, 3 states held primary elections yesterday: Alaska, Wyoming, and
again, Alaska.
Florida. Yes,
Okay.
Florida is important because Brian Donalds, a Republican endorsed by President Trump, won the Republican nomination for governor in the Sunshine State. And want to point out that he could become, and the odds are pretty good, the first black governor of the state of Florida. So I look for him and many political experts, and I'm not an expert, to win and become the next governor of Florida.
we'll see. There were some important. Oh, well, yes, okay. In the Florida Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, a socialist defeated Alex Vindman in what has been called a stunning upset. Vindman may be remembered as the guy who claimed President Trump was involved in wrongdoing with Ukraine. He lost to Angie Nixon, who will face Republican Ashley Moody in November.
Also in Florida, Republican Corey Mills will not be on the November ballot after he lost former news anchor Ryan Elijah in the state's 7th congressional district. Mills has been under attack for alleged domestic violence and financial wrongdoing.
A lot of people have questioned the accuracy of political polls, from the huge defeat by Hillary Clinton to the recent loss of far-left Wisconsin Democrat candidate Francesca Hong. Median Strategies was one of those survey organizations that said Hong had a 23% lead for the Democrat nomination. She lost. The same polling firm had Karen Bass winning the nomination again as Los Angeles mayor by 12 points. Bass did win, but barely.
Median Strategies is now out of business after admitting their survey results were all fake. The problem remains because some of their Wisconsin results were the same as other public opinion polls. Yet, cable news channels like Fox still broadcast their polls as if they're to believe, even though the surveys typically poll around 1,000 people.
I did not do very well in statistics class in college, but I do know.
But you did have a class.
I took
in it, didn't
statistics.
you?
I called it
Did you?
sadistics.
Yeah.
That
was.
You actually, there is a course. I didn't
Yep.
take it, but I thought seriously about taking it.
Yeah.
Did you find it fascinating?
The first part, no. I hated it. It was.
Well, why? Why did you hate it?
We talked about probability. You know, okay, you put in 5
Liability, validity.
red marbles and this many white marbles and how many blue marbles. What's the probability you pull out these? And I am terrible at that.
I lost my
Absolutely.
marbles
No, I
after
was
taking
going to say,
statistics.
you lost your marbles then, Terry.
Well, this is a true story. So I was really struggling. In fact, I was almost failing the class. So I went in to the instructor, and I had my little drop. I said, I'm not doing well in this class, and I can't remember if it was required or strongly suggested for my major of accounting. But anyway, I said, please sign my drop. And he goes, no, I won't sign it. I said, what? And I'd gotten to know him a little bit through class, but also in the evenings, my study buddies and I would go to McDonald's about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night for a little study break. Well, he was coming home from he was teaching in Danville. So he'd stop there too. And so he's like, hey, there's my stats teacher. You know, he'd kind of wave across the room. So he kind of got to know me that way. So anyway, so he wouldn't sign it. And I said, but I'm failing. And he goes, I know. He goes, but we're done with
the odds are.
we're done with this part. What's coming up next is going to be the true statistical testing. And he goes, I think you'll do much. I know your grade point average. And I'm like, ooh. So he goes, I'm not going to sign it, but I will promise you this. After this next section and this next test, if you're still struggling, then I will sign it, and I'll let, even though it'll be past the, I'll let you do it without a failing grade.
There you go.
And like, okay. So sure enough, we got into there was this big, mile-long formula you had to memorize to do testing, and here's your sample, and then, all these things, all that. I wound up, if you can believe it, I aced the next test. I brought my grade up to a B. He was sending people to me for tutoring.
No kidding.
No kidding. Really? Because I flipped it, and that I understood, and I took off like a duck on water.
So the big difference was you had a better comprehension of what the class and what statistics
because
are
it went
about.
to McDonald's. See, to me, the terms of McDonald's, it's reliable. Yeah, I'm going to eat all the French fries. It's valid. I'm going to be there again. And probability, yeah, I'm going to eat them all.
Yeah, because probability to me is iffy. I mean, it's just, it's random luck as you pull things out of a hat and that. But statistical, here's a formula, here's your sampling, you put in your numbers, and you came out with something solid on the other end.
That is a heartwarming story.
I like your
and you know what?
story.
I think when you ended the semester and ended that class, you probably thanked him for having patience with you.
Oh, I did. And he just looked at me, he smiled and goes, I told you so. I was like, okay.
That I wouldn't have told, but
he was a really neat guy.
A good guy,
Yep.
yeah. And that was at Eastern, Illinois.
At Eastern, you bet.
Yeah.
Anyway, on back to the news.
Okay.
So the guy or gal who threatened to kill, of all people, United States Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, will spend the next 6 years behind bars. Riley Michael English. Why are there always three names?
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
I bet I should look at the statistics of that. Or
yes, and probability.
Anyway, he pleaded guilty to traveling from Massachusetts to Washington, D.C. with a knife and 2 Molotov cocktails to assassinate the high government official.
I have
how do you
to
travel with Molotov cocktails? Don't
Very
they
careful.
spill?
Yeah, you have to be careful.
How do you drive? Do you keep them like
You got no carrier. Get one of those carriers.
You put it in the cup holder.
There
That's
you
what I'm
go.
wondering.
What I want to know, and I'm with you on the three names.
Yeah.
Bradley University, where I attended for 5 years. I graduated and I was a graduate assistant and later also taught part-time as an adjunct professor. And I get mail from Bradley that says Roger George Monroe. I've never liked my middle name, although it was my dad and mom named me after my dad's father. But I don't want to see it, and I don't know how you could get them to stop doing it.
I never liked seeing my middle name because that meant I was in trouble. So,
Yeah.
Well, you can call the registrar's office and say, hey, I'd like to change my address label.
Yeah. Well, it happens rarely. I do get, as an alumni, letters through the mail, and it always says Roger George Monroe. I remember a kid when I was in grade school learned that my middle name was George, and he started calling me Georgie Porgy.
Georgie Porgy?
Yeah. Lost your what?
Georgie Porgy Puddin' and Pie
Right.
kissed the girls and made them cry.
Yes. And I got in a fight with him because he wouldn't stop doing it. I mean, it wasn't a big fight. It was more a wrestle. You got to stop calling me Georgie Porgy.
yeah.
In other news, after all these anecdotes that we're
And that's
sharing.
where I come in, I guess.
Yeah.
In other judicial news, Dr. David Morans, former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci, has pleaded guilty to fraud charges for concealing evidence to the public that may relate to the origin of COVID-19. The Department of Justice said Moritz covered up crucial medical information during the COVID-19 pandemic. He faces 5 years in prison and a fine of $250,000 when sentenced.
President Trump is hoping the Supreme Court will allow construction of the ballroom to continue. A lower court ruled he cannot proceed without authorization from Congress. The National Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit to prevent the ballroom. The organization is a nonprofit group that critics say ignored significant changes to the White House by previous presidents. We'll talk about these judicial subjects with Peoria Attorney Kevin Sullivan at 7:30 this morning.
In other news, Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued a disaster proclamation covering 15 counties, including Tazewell, Fulton, and Marshall. The proclamation facilitates crucial financial assistance as well as permitting the state to fast-track needed equipment and supplies. Morton
officials are getting ready to celebrate the 60th Annual Pumpkin Festival. This year's event takes place September 16th through the 19th. The 2026 theme is Bam, Pow, Pumpkins.
Hey, that was good.
Is that Batman?
Wow.
And a little take it back to Batman and Robin. Yes.
Batman pumpkins. Gotta love them.
The highlight, as always, is the Pumpkin Festival Parade to be held Saturday morning, September 19th.
Before I go into this last story, I just love the Pumpkin Festival.
I do too.
Pumpkin chili, pumpkin ice cream, one of the best pumpkin bars, and one of the best parades around, and just neat people.
Yeah.
Those
the parade is probably on a par, would you say, with the West Peoria July 4th parade in terms of size and so forth?
Yeah. I can remember you go there on the day before it, and the lawn chairs are out. You reserve that spot on the sidewalk. I remember running on the street one day, and I'm like, oh, no, that's our spot. Anyway, so we'll get ready for that. An overnight fire last night displaced 3 people living in a house in the 1700 block of South Faraday. One of the 3 went to local hospital for treatment. Cause of the fire appears to be accidental. And those are our headlines for this half hour.
You got it. Now we have news from WCBU, sponsored by Robert Manning, Senior Vice President Financial Advisor with Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, and the folks at LLC and SIPC. And, of course, Bob, located in downtown Peoria in the One Technology Building, the former Bergner's Building. You can reach him by phone at 309-671-4653.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm Ryan Denham. Peoria Mayor Rita Ali is eager to see progress on efforts to revitalize Main Street. Ali says she hopes the addition of 3 eateries and a boutique hotel to the Main Street side of the historic Madison Theater building can spur future development.
It's part of our great bigger plan to make Main Street again, to give it life again.
Ali says one goal of a pending West Main Street TIF district is to get vacant buildings occupied. She says the hope is to restore vibrancy in the corridor from the riverfront all the way to the Bradley University campus. Ali says the city is still waiting to receive state funding that's been pledged for Main Street infrastructure improvements. A property improvement grant of more than $45,000 for the Cherry Tree Plaza Shopping Center in Washington is back on the table. The City Council denied the grant last month, but brought it back this week for discussion with a representative of the mall's Florida-based property management firm. Alderperson Paula Johnson is among the council members concerned about using public money to benefit an out-of-state entity.
I really support businesses that generate sales tax, but I do think it's our job to be very mindful of the fact that these are taxpayer dollars, that it's not just a magical pot of money.
The grant would cover half the estimated cost of improvements needed in a vacant 25,000 square foot space. A McLean County jury has found a Georgia man guilty in the 2022 shooting death of a Peoria teenager. 22-year-old Tommy Yale Anderson was convicted Monday after a week-long trial. Jurors heard testimony placing Anderson at a party in Bloomington where prosecutors say he shot and killed 17-year-old Richwoods High School senior Kanye Stowers. He'll be sentenced October 27th. Illinois is now the 3rd state to allow rideshare drivers to unionize. Under a new law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, drivers for Uber and Lyft can form a union. There are believed to be more than 100,000 rideshare drivers in Illinois, and supporters said the law was needed to boost wages and improve work conditions. The law also includes a 4-cent per ride charge to the rideshare company to cover union implementation costs and a grant program to support drivers. Find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
And there you have the latest from WCBU and our sports guy. Kileon is not here yet, but we do have some stories to share with us. The Cubs made it 2 in a row over the crosstown rival, the Chicago White Sox, winning by the score of 4-3. And I don't know if you saw the video, but they had a fight in that section of the bleachers, and some guy was beating the crap. And finally, it was. I hope they cuffed that guy and took him to jail. He showed no mercy. He just kept pounding away, and the guy just kept his arms up over his face so he wouldn't. And he just kept hammering him. And finally, a couple guys went over and pulled him away. And I hope they sent that guy to an overnight jail because he could have killed him.
Yeah.
I mean, he did not let up at all. And, that's what happens when you don't control the amount of alcohol you're selling or fans are taking because they are somewhat intoxicated.
Right, you have to be. Yeah, if you saw, you're right. He comes down the bleachers, and you're right. It was both Sox and White Sox. I'm sorry, Cubs and Sox fans holding him back, and then he keeps jumping over. He jumps on the guy, goes in front of the bleachers, and keeps going up. I mean, finally they get a hold of him. The security gets a hold of him. But man, I agree.
That took a long time too, which is a criticism of the Cub organization for not having better security, because that could have been a very dangerous situation. And you know what? They would have sued the pants off of the Chicago Cub organization. That also reminds me, there's something, and we do it also at the Civic Center, and it reminds me of, I'll tell you more a little later on, but there's a new gimmick to excite the fans, and that's turning the lights on and off, on and off. If you have somebody who's going to trip and fall, and they will eventually, they'll sue the pants off of them. That is a terrible, and they do it at the Civic Center at Bradley basketball games. And I don't know about you, but at my age, of course, I don't go to Bradley games anymore, so what are you complaining about, Roger? But I'm reminded of years ago when my wife and I had season tickets to Bradley games. They used to have little kids under the basket who would come out and towel down the floor, mop up perspiration, water, and so forth. And I remember saying multiple times to my wife and anybody who sat around me who wanted to listen to me, and that wasn't very many, but I said, that's dangerous. Those big guys sometimes crack. And you know what happened? A player hit one of the little boys, knocked him cold. I thought he was dead. I mean, that child was totally motionless, and the whole place got quiet because everybody else probably thought the same thing. And of course, the paramedics came and they loaded him on a gurney and whisked him out and took him over, as I recall, to St. Francis, and he turned out to be okay. But you know what? They don't have little kids under the basket anymore.
No, they don't.
And it was so foolish to not recognize the liability. Well, this flashing of the lights off and on, I don't know about you, but I was at a game when they did that, and it took a while for my cataracts, that's before I had the cataracts removed, to adjust. So I don't know why they do it. It's
is it to
put
get
people at risk.
Towards the end to get people out of the building, like at the end of a game, or is it?
They do it before the game and sometime, and if they win, I think at the end of the game, they flash those lights off and on, which is the worst time. When people, do you remember there was a time at the Civic Center where they did not have railings in the upper bowl?
I remember that.
And
I remember walking up and like,
yeah. Well, once I lost my footing, and it was, and I was close to the chair seats, and a guy caught me and said, "Whoa, Roger, have you been drinking?" And I said, "No, but I feel like I have."
It's the altitude sickness.
But anyway, the Cubs won last night 4-3. So after losing the series 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals, they're bouncing back.
Well,
and meantime, you're a Cardinal fan. What did St. Louis do?
Too bad. With the fact that we're at 5, we're now a couple games over 500, 512 to be exact, and we're only 13 and a half out. Like I said, only. Now, the wild card is what we're going to look
that's
at.
what you're fighting for.
That's what we're looking for.
How far out are the Cardinals?
We're
2.5?
3.5. I think
Three and a half.
3 games. I'm sorry, 3 games out of the wild card. And, of
that's
course,
doable.
we're all
Yes.
kind of catching the vapor trails of those Brewers again, aren't we? But, hey, kudos to the Cubbies, though. Talk about a team that's decimated by pitching earlier this season. They have really overperformed. And as a Cardinal fans, again, we're not going to get into a bleacher fight, are we, Roger?
No. I gave up fighting when I was 4.
I'm the same way. I wouldn't even know what to do. So, but kudos. And you know what? The NL Central, it's good for our division, isn't it, to see those Cubbies doing some good things, and they're overperforming.
Was there a rain delay last night?
In Chicago?
Yes, there was.
Yeah.
You're exactly
because
right.
when I flipped over to that station,
Yeah.
and it's had like Rosie O'Donnell was doing, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah,
Is she back?
What position does she play?
Well, she hadn't done a show in years.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And so then I put my glasses on so I could read the crawl across the bottom. And it was like they were in a rain delay and they would pick up the game. So they must have
Is
been.
that what they picked up?
So yeah, they were pulling stuff out of the.
Boy, I guess they
The
must have
ball.
been
Play
really
the spoons and the
desperate, to say the least. I will give her credit. Wasn't she one of the lead actresses in A League of Their Own?
She was,
she
yes.
was.
Great movie.
Yeah,
Great
was
movie.
it?
Yeah.
it
The
was.
Rockford Peaches, wasn't that about?
Yeah, the Rockford Peaches.
Yeah.
Now, a little note factoid, of course, I was disheartened when they did the story out of Rockford, instead of which would have been a far better, more appealing if they had done Peoria. The Peoria Red Wings were in that league, as a matter of fact. And I think Leo Schraw, who was the baseball coach at Bradley University, was the coach for the Peoria Red Wings. And do you know where they played their games?
Down at Woodruff Field, was
No.
it? Oh, okay.
Peoria Stadium.
Really?
Yeah, they had a ball field they marked out. And their right fielder was I think I was 10, 11 years of age. And me and another buddy or two all had a crush on Dodie Wilson, Dodie. And she was a blonde, and she was gorgeous. And I remember there were 3 or 4 of us walk with her to the dressing room, and just before she went in, this guy came up, and she said, "Oh, hi, honey," and they hugged and kissed, and it broke our hearts.
Oh, no.
How dare this guy circumvent the love of a 10, 11-year-old or whatever. I think I was more like 21. For that matter.
Moment.
Anyway, let's bring you up to date with some of the stories we're following. Brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap between hospital and home with skilled nurses, therapists, and personal care assistants since 1993. Quality care by quality healthcare professionals, and they are available, ladies and gentlemen, 24/7 to take care of your loved one. And you can reach the folks at Spoon River at 309-245-0723. What do you have, Terry?
Well, 3 states held primary elections yesterday: Florida, Wyoming, and Alaska. There were some important results. In the Florida Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, a socialist defeated Alex Vindman in what has been called a stunning upset. Vindman may be remembered as the guy who claimed President Trump was involved in wrongdoing with Ukraine. He lost to Angie Nixon, who will face Republican Ashley Moody in November. Also in Florida, Republican Corey Mills will not be on the November ballot after he lost to former news anchor Ryan Elijah in the state's 7th congressional district. Mills has been under attack for alleged domestic violence and financial wrongdoing. The guy or gal who threatened to kill, of all people, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will spend the next 6 years behind bars. Rodney Michael English pleaded guilty to traveling from Massachusetts to Washington, D.C. with a knife and 2 Molotov cocktails to assassinate the high government official. In other judicial news, Dr. David Morans, a former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci, has pleaded guilty to fraud charges for concealing evidence to the public that may relate to the origin of COVID-19. The Department of Justice said Morans covered up crucial medical information during the COVID-19 pandemic. He faces 5 years behind bars. President Trump is hoping the Supreme Court will allow construction of the ballroom to continue. A lower court ruled he cannot proceed without authorization from Congress. The National Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit to prevent the ballroom. The organization is a nonprofit group that critics say ignored significant changes to the White House by previous presidents. We're going to talk with Peoria Attorney Kevin Sullivan about this matter and others at 7:30 this morning. In other news, Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued a disaster proclamation covering 15 counties, including Tazewell, Fulton, and Marshall. The proclamation facilitates crucial financial assistance as well as permitting the state to fast-track needed equipment and supplies. Morton officials are getting ready to celebrate the 60th Annual Pumpkin Festival. This year's event takes place September 16th through the 19th. The 2026 theme is Bam! Pow! Pumpkins! The highlight, as always, is the Pumpkin Festival Parade to be held Saturday morning, September 19th. And those are the headlines, Roger.
I wonder where they came up with that theme.
Pumpkin chucking, they were throwing pumpkins.
You know,
First, somebody happened to see an old Batman rerun on TV.
Well, you know, years ago, they used to have a pumpkin throwing contest.
The pumpkin chucking.
Yep,
Yeah, and they held it for a time on a farm on Springfield Road. Mm-hmm. And I remember the family that where they held it. And they had teams from all over the country that came and competed. What happened? Was it a liability concern? Because they used to throw those pumpkins from Springfield Road to
trebuchets, is the fancy term. Or
Did somebody get hit by a pumpkin?
Could have been.
It was, and it was always widely attended as well. So something went awry. Maybe they ran out of pumpkins. You remember one year you could not get pumpkin pie filling.
Right, the crop had been, it was too wet or something, but there was like
a shortage of pumpkins.
They say it's bad for pumpkins.
They'll rot in the field.
We got a lot of rain. Let's hope our pumpkins are good this
year.
Yeah,
you bet. I remember going over to Walmart to get some pumpkin pie. I got the last can on the shelf, and that was at any rate. It's a big event. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, in the coming hours and days and weeks and so forth until the event. Let's have a check of the weather brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of Home Smart. Listing a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in the city with an unbelievable view of the countryside from the gorgeous living room. This home has a beautiful kitchen, adjoining dining room, plus other amenities. You can get all the exciting details from Kathy at 309-696-2162. Now our weather.
Well, speaking of wet and moldy, well, that's not us.
Not us. Speaking of wet and moldy, here's Dave. As everybody's kind of trying to dry out here, I hope everybody's basements are okay. I think ours is, too. I think there's a challenge. People have crawl spaces. I know a couple of people who do. They not only have to get rid of the water, then they have to dry it, then they have to pull that plastic sheeting underneath. And then lay down new plastic for that matter.
Our basement, we had the sump pumps we have on both sides of the house. Well, our power went out on Sunday morning, and so then I heard this constant beeping in the afternoon. Well, we have batteries that back it up.
That's
evidently the battery had not been maintained, so I've bought a new a project later today, a sump pump battery, and figure out how to hook that up.
What'd that cost you?
The battery itself is $200. It's called the Basement Watchdog or something like that. So if your power goes out, it'll run your sump pump. But luckily, our sump pump is okay. So.
Yeah, interesting. I've had trouble with my battery. I had a guy, Rob McQuett of Pekin, come over and check it. He said, your battery's okay because you can check the battery.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know why it's doing what it's doing. And I can't, my hearing is impaired. Mm-hmm. And I have people come into my house and say, what's that beeping? I said, what beeping? I don't hear it. And so what I do is occasionally I'll go downstairs to where I can hear or not hear the beeping. And if it's beeping, you go in and you press the button until the red lights turn green.
Exactly.
And it's been all through the storms operating meticulously. I mean, it has been very
great.
efficient. So even though I have to go down every now and then to hit the button, something's causing that backup alarm to beep. And I said to Rob, do you think I needed a new battery? And he said, your battery test is fine. No, I said, I don't know. I mean the battery for the sump pump.
Yeah, I need a new battery.
No, some of those, but the battery I'm replacing had those cells in it. We had to add water. I'm thinking, I'm getting a maintenance-free battery.
You remember that?
Yeah. Why on earth it still has that? So
that goes back a few years.
Yeah, I got a maintenance-free one, so we're going to see how that works. Maintenance-free means that you don't have to do a thing. Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Right, no.
Anyway, let's find out what our weather's doing today, too. So as you wake up, it's partly sunny today. However, changes in the air as well as some moisture, too. We got a flood watch from 1 p.m. Today through tomorrow morning because of all the rain, the saturated ground we've had. There's a chance of thunderstorms moving in this afternoon, and some of them could be locally heavy rain, so please be careful out there. High of 80 degrees today. Tonight, as those showers and thunderstorms kind of come our way and then end later, mostly cloudy, low 64. And then tomorrow, sunny. Let's dry out tomorrow, right? High of 81 degrees. Friday, sunny and 82. Looks like a delightful weekend coming up. Saturday, sunshine and 81. Sunshine everywhere. Currently, we're looking at 71 degrees with a 97% humidity, so it's a little moist out there.
But there was a little somewhat of a breeze, was there not, this morning?
There was a little bit of a
Yeah,
breeze.
a little bit of one, but
That's
yes,
how
the
dark it was, too.
I know. I mean, it seems like just not too long ago I was needing my sunglasses in the morning. Don't need them anymore.
Yeah, well, that means pumpkins are in the air, right?
You
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to this segment of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. I want to mention that to forewarn everybody, because this has been happening for the last 2 days, those people traveling from the east going west on 74, be aware that traffic narrows down to one lane. I don't know when and what if you're coming from Morton or Goodfield or Bloomington. I don't know how you can, well, you can't avoid it if you're going past Peoria by taking 474. But they have had the last 2 mornings, and I don't discover that from looking at a computer. I saw it, and I felt sorry for them. And, you know, these guys that drive those 18-wheelers, they don't like delays like that for obvious reasons. And usually, and I think they have a pretty good system of communicating with one another. Why I would see these trucks unless they're making stops in East Peoria or West Peoria, whatever the case may be. But the backup yesterday was worser, as my 6-year-old used to say, than the day before. And my understanding is they're going to be, I don't know, I think they're changing the lights on the light towers on I-74. I know eastbound they were doing that, but you didn't have the backup like you were having on the westbound
They're not going
traffic
to turn
for
the
that
lights
matter.
on and off.
Hey, I want to.
Okay, good.
Kevin Sullivan is going to join us as he normally does at 7:30 every Wednesday morning, and they have a big trial. Well, they have several. They've got, you know, the Mangione, the pretty boy trial that I hope they give him the death penalty, and I hope they give the death penalty to the clown who shot Charlie Kirk, for that matter. But one of the other trials is the Meta trial, the one that are trying to hold the that what would you call it, platform,
Social media
platform, because some kids have committed suicide and so forth. And I really believe, you know, it's tragic, but I believe, and they're looking for not billions, but trillions in punitive damages. And I hope they don't get away with it, because I think that's the motivation. I don't think they're motivated by what's happened to young kids, but the desire to get a lot of money. And so do the attorneys, for that matter. How do you feel about suing programming, or in this case, social conversation?
Oh, I don't think it's right. I mean, because just because you have a weak moral character, and you can't set it aside or say, "Oh, I'm done with that." But blame somebody else for your problem? No.
And to Terry's point, think about, like we talked earlier about, remember the civic center with no guardrails? If you lost your balance, did you think, well, I'm going to sue him? No. You just know, hey, I need to be careful. Growing up, we had bikes with metal pieces on them. We just, yeah, I know. It was,
And we didn't
just,
wear helmets?
we did fine. Nobody thought of suing somebody. I fell down one time and I scraped my leg up because the metal of the.
Did
I
you
didn't sue.
did
I
you
did not
sue
sue the company.
Schwinn?
I said,
Did
you know
you
what?
sue Schwinn?
My butt better learn how to ride this better.
Yeah.
You know, but the point I'm making, you're right. All of our social institutions, I think the three of us maybe could just attest, we were raised that personal responsibility and personal choice and personal character, really. You know, we learned that something happened, we just get up and we do better. Not blame somebody or something else for our shortcomings. It's just that simple. And I get the fact that it's a different world now with media and such, but it still comes down to one point of taking stock of yourself, where you're in this world, and just doing better and not blaming somebody else. That simple.
Yeah, and I agree with both of you. You know, there is a certain sense of obligation by parents to look after their kids.
Exactly.
And if their kids are spending too much time on the computer and the internet, you unplug it. So you know what, Bob or Mary, I noticed that you spend a lot of time on the computer. Are you doing homework? What are you doing? None of your business, Mom. None of your business, Dad, or whatever the case may be. And I know we've had people on the show who are in the business of psychology who have talked about parental responsibility. And I know it's hard for parents when they have a child who take their own life to acknowledge that maybe we were short of things that we could have done to have prevented this. I just believe that if you have a button or a plug in the wall, if you are concerned, and you should be, then you have a responsibility. If your child gets sick, you take the child to a doctor, don't you?
Usually.
And if a child is having emotional problems, you know, I mean, if you're spending time with your children, you know we have a problem here.
Well, and also social media, it's no different than, you know, a lot of the brain research, you know, it floods you with dopamine, it's instant gratification. And so, yes, it can become it. It's just like anything else. Too much candy tastes good. Eventually, it's bad for you.
That's right.
Too much food is bad, you know, so forth. So it's the same thing with social media, too. And you're right. You're absolutely right. Parents have to be that referee to say enough, you know. We're tuning out. And we're, you know, there's a whole genre now of jobs, social media influencers. That's the dangerous thing.
Oh,
you know, people who are influencers that say, hey, buy this shirt or whatever, you know.
Oh, yes. I ran into a tax situation. I was doing accounting, helping somebody, and one of the person's job was social influencer. And so she put down, she needed manicures and that every week because her hands she was using to show things on her. And I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah. And they're like, oh, no, because it's part of her job, she gets to claim that. And I'm like, wow. But to your point about parents watching, I remember it would have been early 70s. And so one evening, Mom, my brother and I were sitting there watching TV, and I don't know what Dad had been doing, but he probably came upstairs in the basement. He says, all right, enough of the boob tube. And he goes over and he turns it off, and he goes, we're going to do something. And so we pulled out, some of you might remember, it's you can't call it a board game, but it's called AAA. It's a card game.
Okay.
And you've got this big mat, and you lay it out on the table, and you use poker chips, and you put, you've got the maybe Jack, Queen, King, Ace of Hearts, and you put these different chips all around, and you play the cards, and as you play them, if you happen to get that run, then you get the thing of chips. But it was interaction. He was tired of us just all sitting and staring at the TV set. He said, "Not."
Yeah.
And so we interacted as a family. Now, what am I remembering? Not the TV show he turned off, the fact that we play games with
And
mom
you
and
actually
dad.
had to walk to
Yeah.
the TV and turn it off.
Oh, yeah, back then,
There
yes.
was no hitting the room.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
But having said that, and cutting some slack for parents, you can do all the right things.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you recognize, you talk about influencers. The strongest influence on young people today are their peer group.
Yeah.
We see a case where a college fraternity was the center of dealing drugs, for crying out loud. Now, how many parents of those kids who belonged to that fraternity knew what was going on? Do you think? I'll give you a good example. I remember my two sons when they were in high school. Later on, after they graduated, they told me about how they would go into the restroom and there would be other members of their class or other members of different classes, freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, and so forth, trying to get them on weed. I said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And they said, "Are you kidding?
Yeah.
You want us to get killed, Dad?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I'd known, I would have reported to police and school officials and so forth."
Yeah.
And they said, "That's why we didn't tell you."
Right.
So there are situations where no matter how concerned and involved parents can become, the biggest influence are kids of their own age or their own peer group, for that matter.
Yep.
You're right.
And we also know there are certain movies that kids go to and certain occasions, events that they go to that parents don't know about. So I know this, raising kids today is a lot more difficult
Oh,
than
absolutely.
it was when
So
I was a kid.
So many
Absolutely.
influences on them. I
Yep.
agree. And parents are, I believe parents are trying to do the best they can. You know, I look
Some
back at,
parents, some parents.
some are, you
Some
know,
parents are absent.
looking back at my career and dealing with, parents in general and the pressures they have, I could see that subtle change. And most of them just want to do the best they can, but they're overwhelmed too, and all these influences too. So I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
social media has changed the narrative. As it
Oh,
were.
absolutely.
And I think the two of you will agree, because you probably were in the same situation I was. The strongest influencer in my life, was right and wrong, was my dad, because I knew he'd kick the crap out of me
Yeah.
if I did something, and he did,
Yeah.
more than one
Yeah.
occasion for that matter. Anyway, weather-wise, today we're going to have some showers, maybe heavy at times this
Yeah,
afternoon.
you're
What do you
looking like
have there?
So we look like we're going to have, as we start out fairly clear, those clouds are moving in. If you haven't noticed that already, a little dark and gloomy Wednesday, but flood watch coming in around 1 p.m. again. So if you got a lot of water in your yard, probably going to get a little more too. So kind of be careful out there. High of today of 80 degrees, and then those showers and thunderstorms moving in this afternoon. Looking mostly cloudy tonight, some possible rain continuing, but ending late. Low of 64, and then guess what? 3 nice sunny days.
We'll take it and run
We're
with
going to
it,
take
yeah.
those sunny days. 81 on tomorrow, 82 on Friday, and then Saturday, sunshine and 81, and looking 71 degrees. A little muggy out there, though.
Yeah. All right, here's our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. The arrival of warmer weather means more time outside for you and your pets. But even in your own backyard, there are some potential hazards that could get in the way of fun. And so can the products we use to keep the slugs from eating those plants. A new type of slug bait is on the market and often advertised as organic and safe for pets and children. Instead of the metal dehyde baits that have been in use for quite some time, this new bait uses iron phosphate. While iron phosphate is a natural ingredient found in our environment, owners should be aware that iron phosphate is toxic to animals if they eat too much of it. The Animal Poison Control Center lists these symptoms as signs of iron phosphate toxicity: lethargy and vomiting, severe dehydration, and collapse due to prolonged vomiting. 2 to 12 hours after ingestion, animals may suffer severe acid-base disturbance. In 2 to 4 days, animals will suffer from liver failure. So as with any chemical you use, do so sparingly and keep a close watch on your pets to see if they are attracted to it. It's always a good idea to have on hand the phone numbers for your veterinarian, a local emergency animal hospital, and the Poison Control Center. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Thank you, Louis Linder. I don't want to turn this into a telethon for the American
Colache?
Colache.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the dessert that I chose, the blueberry, I will tell you I don't know where they get the dough, if you pardon the expression, not as in dollars and cents, but in deliciousness, out of this world. They've got a winner. You know what surprised me about them is they opened last December, and never heard of them. But I'll tell you what, the word's getting around, because last time I was there, people were coming and going, like, more so than they were at Dunkin' Donuts. No offense to Dunkin' Donuts. What's your favorite dessert from American Colache?
The raspberry ones. I had one last
The raspberry?
Just now had a sausage and gravy one that was wonderful.
I had the Italian beef. It was wonderful.
Oh, you had the Italian beef?
I did.
Oh, that's a good one.
Now, what
This morning? You had it this morning?
it was still nice and warm.
So
Yeah.
Frank's Italian beef, too.
Yes.
They're local.
And he's even got the pepperoncinis. I mean, it was excellent.
Oh, there's pepper cheese?
Uh-huh.
And price-wise, we're not supposed to give the price, but
Very reasonable.
Reasonable.
Very reasonable, yeah.
Yep.
Those are just truly outstanding. And Melanie, you're doing a good job, and
Valerie
And-
is
and
so
Va-
friendly.
Valerie,
Yeah.
really
It's a family
nice
affair,
friend.
from what I understand.
Yeah, because I guess they close at 2, do they?
Yes.
In the afternoon, and she goes to work as a nurse.
Oh, really?
At a local hospital, yeah. So neat people, neat food, and
Yes.
good prices. American Colache, outstanding for that matter. I do want to tell everybody that coming up later in their show, as a matter of fact, around 8:15, we're going to interview a young lady by the name of Lacey Wild, and she is with Wild Times Exotic, and this is a you might say a small zoo. Actually, she operates also a mobile unit where she takes animals to certain areas and let kids and adults, for that matter, have hands-on with certain creatures. And I forget the name of the one. Kathy and I took her to...
Capybaras?
Yeah, what do you call them? Capybaras?
Capybaras?
Yeah. And I never heard of the animal. It looks like a porcupine on steroids.
A capybara.
Yeah.
Roger, you're kind of like Tamer. This is a small zoo in here too.
Yeah,
you
in
manage
many
to
ways,
control
exactly.
us too.
And but we're a lot more dangerous than these animals
That's
are.
true. We are. We
but-
don't bite though. I will
and
say that.
at any rate, we were able to touch and hold the capybaras. They had a lizard of some
Really?
size as well, and I'm trying to think. I think there were two other animals that she went and got and brought in, and the capybaras was interesting creature. Would sit in your lap if
Is
you.
a capybara like a big? Are they? I've seen. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me see. Yeah,
wow.
that's it.
It's kind of like
They're-
a small
they're-
adult,
they're-
sort of. Yeah.
They're a little bit. There you go. Yeah.
Is it showing
Oh,
right?
there you go. Yeah, go over to your. That way, just there you go.
Yeah, go a little bit more and perfect. That's what they look like. But I didn't know I didn't know it was a water creature.
Well,
Were
they can
just
be.
getting a drink?
No, they're swimming. They are the the largest living rodent on Earth. They're native to South America.
Okay.
Semi-aquatic mammals, so they do like their water. They can grow up to 4 feet long, stand about 2 feet tall, can weigh between 60 and 174 pounds.
Wow. What did
Well, this was a little fella,
oh.
and
Just a baby.
yeah, and every now and then it would jump. Something would scare it, and it was kind of funny. It would jump and said, it's nervous. And Lacey's with the animals at all times.
Okay.
And the kids got out on the floor. They had turf grass to where the creatures, and she would give you food like lettuce and carrots.
I was going to ask, is that what they eat?
To feed,
What do they eat?
to feed this
Lettuce,
capybaras.
carrots? Okay.
And it was really. I wish I could remember the other. The other one was a lizard. Lizards give me this, the willies somewhat. But he was a cute little fella, and I forget what the other two animals were that she brought out. But anyway. We're going to talk to her. Her place is out in the rural area near Dawson, Illinois, which is just southeast of Springfield, as I recall.
Oh.
Anyway, it was a little bit of a drive to
Yeah.
go down, but really worth it, and the kids were thrilled to death. As it turned out, the granddaughter, Eva, was a big fan of capybaras, and I'd never heard of such a creature. And she knew it, and it was almost a wish come true to be able to not only see it,
never heard of
but
it.
to hold it. Yeah, I hadn't either.
They're cute. Kathy said Felix fox was one of the other animals.
Okay, I'll take her word
A
for
Felix
it.
fox.
A Felix fox.
Okay.
And then she's, fennec. Sorry, it's a fennec
Phoenix.
Fennec fox.
Okay, I
Are-
think
aren't they kind of a small-
Phoenix is a place of building for the homeless in Peoria.
No,
Yes.
fennec.
Yes.
Fennec. And don't they have the big ears? Or
Yes.
like,
Yes.
yeah.
No, that was Kathy.
Oh, there we go.
He said it, I didn't.
Yeah,
but-
Roger, I'll tell
It
you.
was a slip of the tongue. I have those moments every now and then. Anyway, in the next hour, we're going to talk with Kevin Sullivan. I'm sure he has some thoughts about the medicine and the law, the trial of the woman who killed her 3 children. And right now, they're blaming it on the medicine. I think that her psychiatrist or psychologist was giving her. That's a terrible trial, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot of things judicially, so stay tuned. As we say, that's coming up at next hour. And you're having breakfast with, and we are having breakfast this morning,
Literally.
A+ from American Kalache, and we'll talk with Kevin on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. Also on YouTube. Good to see a good-sized audience this morning. Appreciate it. Stay tuned. More coming your way. pleasant good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday all day today. So happy to see everybody as we continue on Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. Let's start with a check of the weather, and the weather brought to you by Morton Community Bank, founded in 1960. It has grown over the years, and today it has 50 branch locations offering personal, business, and agricultural banking services with that well-known hometown feeling. Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you, member FDIC. And Dave, you have the weather.
I do indeed. As our Wednesday morning gets going, take those umbrellas with you today, a bit of advice, because we're going to start with some partly sunny days, a little cloudy out there, but then a flood watch happens at 1 p.m. today because those showers and thunderstorms should be moving through early afternoon, perhaps into the evening today, so our ground is a little saturated, so take a look at that. High today of 80 degrees, and then tonight mostly cloudy, possible showers, a low of 64, and then the next 3 days we dry out a bit from all this rain. Tomorrow sunny, high of 81, Friday sunny and 82, and then Saturday more sunshine, 81. So a nice looking, cooler, I might add, weekend coming up. Currently we're looking at 72 degrees with 97% humidity. So take those umbrellas today, everybody.
And our news presented by Matt Wall, certified public accountant and tax specialist with Gordon Stockman Wall, a graduate of Bradley University and DePaul University. Matt provides a broad range of accounting, auditing, management consulting, and income tax planning. Matt Wall, available at 309-692-4030. Now the news.
3 states held primary elections yesterday: Florida, Wyoming, and Alaska. There were some important results. In the Florida Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, a socialist defeated Alex Vindman in what has been called a stunning upset. Vindman may be remembered as the guy who claimed President Trump was involved in wrongdoing with Ukraine. He lost to Angie Nixon, who will face Republican Ashley Moody in November.
Also in Florida, Republican Corey Mills will not be on the November ballot after he lost to former news anchor Ryan Elijah in the state's 7th congressional district. Mills has been under attack for alleged domestic violence and financial wrongdoing.
A lot of people have questioned the accuracy of political polls, from the huge defeat by Hillary Clinton to the recent loss of far-left Wisconsin Democrat candidate Francesca Hong. Median Strategies was one of those survey organizations that said Hong had a 23% lead for the Democrat nomination. She lost. The same polling firm had Karen Bass winning the nomination again as Los Angeles mayor by 12 points. Bass did win, but barely.
Median Strategies is now out of business after admitting their survey results were all fake. The problem remains because some of their Wisconsin results were the same as other public opinion polls. Yet, cable news channels like Fox still broadcast their polls as if they're to believe, even though the surveys typically poll around 1,000 people.
The guy or gal who threatened to kill of all people, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, will spend the next 6 years behind bars. Riley Michael English pleaded guilty to traveling from Massachusetts to Washington, D.C. with a knife and 2 Molotov cocktails to assassinate the high government official.
What was the story? I don't have the detail. Why was he targeted?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I haven't seen the story.
Yeah. Well, the guy's crazy, but like you said, a knife and a couple of Molotov cocktails.
And as Terry pointed out, 3 names.
I tell you,
We got that
something
middle
about
name
three
in there. Whenever you see a
names,
middle
yeah.
name, you're in trouble.
That's right.
Well, I think he's a
There you go.
transgender.
Yeah. In other judicial news, Dr. David Morans, a former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci, has pleaded guilty to fraud charges for concealing evidence to the public that may relate to the origin of COVID-19. The Department of Justice said Morans covered up crucial medical information during the COVID-19 pandemic. He now faces 5 years in prison and a fine of $250,000 when sentenced.
President Trump is hoping the Supreme Court will allow construction of the ballroom to continue. A lower court ruled he cannot proceed without authorization from Congress. The National Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit to prevent the ballroom. The organization is a nonprofit group that critics say ignored significant changes to the White House by previous presidents. We're going to talk about these judicial subjects and a few others with Peoria attorney Kevin Sullivan at 7:30 this morning.
In other news, Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued a disaster proclamation covering 15 counties, including Tazewell, Fulton, and Marshall. The proclamation facilitates crucial financial assistance as well as permitting the state to fast-track needed equipment and supplies.
Morton officials are getting ready to celebrate the 60th Annual Pumpkin Festival. This year's event takes place September 16th through the 19th. The 2026 theme is Bam, Pow, Pumpkins. The highlight, as always, is the Pumpkin Festival Parade to be held Saturday morning, September 19th.
Bam, pow, indeed. An overnight fire last night displaced 3 people living in a house in the 1700 block of South Faraday. One of the 3 went to a local hospital for treatment, and the cause of fire appears to be accidental. And those are our headline news for this half hour.
All right, thank you very kindly, and we continue with news from WCBU.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm Ryan Denham. Peoria Mayor Rita Ali is eager to see progress on efforts to revitalize Main Street. Ali says she hopes the addition of 3 eateries and a boutique hotel to the Main Street side of the historic Madison Theater building can spur future development.
It's part of our great bigger plan to make Main Street again, to give it life again.
Ali says one goal of a pending West Main Street TIF district is to get vacant buildings occupied. She says the hope is to restore vibrancy in the corridor from the riverfront all the way to the Bradley University campus. Ali says the city is still waiting to receive state funding that's been pledged for Main Street infrastructure improvements. A property improvement grant of more than $45,000 for the Cherry Tree Plaza Shopping Center in Washington is back on the table. The City Council denied the grant last month, but brought it back this week for discussion with a representative of the mall's Florida-based property management firm. Alderperson Paula Johnson is among the council members concerned about using public money to benefit an out-of-state entity.
I really support businesses that generate sales tax, but I do think it's our job to be very mindful of the fact that these are taxpayer dollars, that it's not just a magical pot of money.
The grant would cover half the estimated cost of improvements needed in a vacant 25,000 square foot space. A McLean County jury has found a Georgia man guilty in the 2022 shooting death of a Peoria teenager. 22-year-old Tommy Yale Anderson was convicted Monday after a week-long trial. Jurors heard testimony placing Anderson at a party in Bloomington where prosecutors say he shot and killed 17-year-old Richwoods High School senior Kanye Stowers. He'll be sentenced October 27th. Illinois is now the 3rd state to allow rideshare drivers to unionize. Under a new law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, drivers for Uber and Lyft can form a union. There are believed to be more than 100,000 rideshare drivers in Illinois, and supporters said the law was needed to boost wages and improve work conditions. The law also includes a 4-cent per ride charge to the rideshare company to cover union implementation costs and a grant program to support drivers. Find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
On the scene. Tyrus, good to see you this morning, pal.
Good to see you.
The Cubs win. Cubs win.
Hey, and those Cardinals.
Cardinals win.
Yes, Cardinals win.
They're back on the winning track.
Yes.
They are. They're back at it.
Above 500. Love it.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Let's start with the Peoria sports news. The Peoria Chiefs at 55 and 58 play today against the Landing Lugnuts affiliate with the Athletics. They play at 12:05 today. It's an away series, and they have 5 games left, including today.
For the season or this series?
This series.
Oh, okay.
Also, I think the season.
5 games remaining.
The Chiefs.
Well, it's
They
thought
come
you-
back and
close.
finish, and they finish September 5th, I think
home
it is.
series.
I thought it was something, but 20
Home
games.
series
or
against
something,
the-
Yeah,
and
20, yeah.
home series
Yeah.
against the South Bend Cubs will be their
Oh,
last.
that ought to be a good turnout.
It'll be their last
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
And I think some fireworks involved in there, a couple of them. So
Yeah, they give away prizes and
Yeah.
uniforms.
If
And,
they go on a little winning streak, maybe
Yeah,
they.
yeah, I would like to
well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We hope they make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're close. MLB news: the Cubs are in second place, 4.5 out of first at 74 and 53. They beat the White Sox last night, 4-3 in a walk-off win.
Now, what does that mean? Walk-off win.
Oh,
Did they walk in the winning run?
No, Alex Bregman. Well, you just say it just because it's walking it off.
Okay,
well,
all right.
Bregman, hit the single to
Drive in the winning run.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's come alive for the Cubs.
Yeah, he also tied it up, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he did.
In this crosstown rivalry, they will go for the sweep with a win today at 1:20 p.m. The Cardinals at 65 and 62 in third, 13.5 games out of first, 3 games out of the wild card spot. They shut out the Reds 3-0. They play today at 5:40 p.m. If they win the next 2, they will go 4 out of 5 in this series against the Reds. So they had like a little 5-game series going here because they played a doubleheader.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees at 70 and 55, 5 games back of the Rays. They beat the Orioles yesterday, 3-1. They will go for the series win today at 5:35 p.m. It's only game 2, so. And then White Sox are still 4 games up in the lead for first. They're at 65 and 60. The Phillies at 69 and 58 in second, 5.5 games out of first. They beat the Marlins 6-4. Will go for the sweep today at 5:05 p.m. And then in the WNBA, the Indiana Fever are 24 and 12 after beating the Toronto Tempo 101-95 last night. Clark had 24 and 7. Kelsey Mitchell got 29 points. They play the Dallas Wings tomorrow at 7 p.m. Chicago Sky at 14 and 22. They beat the New York Liberty last night 93-86. They play Friday at 6:30 versus the Golden State Valkyries, who are 25 and 9. And then in the NFL, the Bears add to the D-line. They signed veteran Marcus Davenport, so he's been struggling with some injuries these past couple of years, and see if he makes a team or what they get out of him. And then defensive back Dontre Prince, see if he helps out with the team too. The second preseason game is against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's at 6 p.m. this Saturday. And that's our report.
And that's sports with Tyrus, everybody. As we continue Breakfast with Roger and Friend on WAZU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. I remember when we go on vacation, we might be out west, maybe in Wyoming or Utah. And where are you from, you folks from? And it said Peoria, Illinois. Oh, yeah, Illinois. Tell me about Illinois. And you
make a lot of noise.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's see if we can educate you here in Wyoming or Utah or whatever the case may be. Any rate, coming up, we're going to be talking with Kevin Sullivan about some of the law cases and the judicial cases and so forth. You know, I am wondering what the bill is for attorney fees for Donald Trump. I mean, he's getting sued for everything. He turns around, you know, he wanted to get rid of somebody, so a group of people, so the group of people then hire an attorney to sue him, and he wants to open this or close that. And like the ballroom, the National Trust Historic Preservation Group, a nonprofit, a group of people say you can't do that. But you know, I have been having wonderful conversations with AI, and it is amazing. This technology is they actually respond in seconds with criticism that I level against. I've said you're wrong, and I've corrected them, and you would be surprised how many times they said, we apologize, you are right. And on other occasions, they don't apologize and say you're wrong. Within seconds. That's amazing. How do they do that? Do they have some woman sitting in a room with encyclopedias and dictionaries?
Oh, yeah, she got the thesaurus over here and the dictionary. And
there's a word, thesaurus, we haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. I remember, the gal that had the hairdo that looked like a rag mop. All frizzy and so forth. I believe for Obama. And she had a notebook, and when a reporter asked her a question,
Karine, something
Abdul-Jabbar.
It was his press secretary.
Yeah, she's the White House spokesman. Yeah, and a reporter asked a question, and I think sometimes she knew who was going to ask what, because she immediately would turn her loose leaf notebook to the title aircraft carrier or Iran or something like that.
Where'd you
for
run?
her written response.
Well done.
Yeah. What was that?
I said, where'd you run?
Yeah. At any rate,
Quick.
I'm telling you, this AI is just unbelievable. And Bernie Salmon, that would be a good name for Bernie Sanders, wants us, in his infinite wisdom, we need to pause our development of AI. In other words, so the Chinese can stay ahead of us or move ahead of us along with the Russians. Where did he come up with his intellectual deficiency?
I don't know, but I noticed it. Oh, I knew it existed in that, but a couple of weeks ago, my aunt sent me an email. And then I did a short little response. She answered me. The next response that came up, it said, I can answer for you. And so it summarized an answer. And except for one line, it was eerily correct. I mean,
Really?
it addressed each of the issues that we had brought up.
No kidding.
And that's why I just had the one that was wrong. That it's like, that's just downright scary.
Yeah.
That
is.
based on two conversations in an email,
Yeah.
it picked everything up and it gave an answer.
It is
I noticed like AI,
spooky almost, yeah.
Like I look at classic cars. I can't afford one of my own, but sometimes an AI will come up with a picture of like a '76 Monte Carlo. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not a. The grill is wrong. I mean, but it's eerie. You have to really, really look and see. But so sometimes it gets the idea of what you're asking.
Oh, and on this day in history, August 19th, 1934, something happened in Europe. What was it that was historic?
1934 in Europe, historic.
Was Hitler involved?
Yes.
So did he declare the republic? Did he appoint himself as?
Is it the Olympics?
No, it was not sports involved.
Was it government? I mean, he worked on, finagled his way into the government.
Declare himself. Was it?
Yeah, you're on the right
He
track.
declared himself as the
President of Germany.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
And
Yeah,
he
he was,
established the
you know what his
Weimar-
title was prior to that?
Assistant director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vice President.
Was it the Weimar Republic or something like that?
What typically title did many European countries have for, if not the leader, next to the leader?
Chancellor?
Yes, correct.
That's what I thought. I remember he
he
declared
was
himself as
Chancellor
that.
of
Yep.
Germany and ascended to President of Germany in an unprecedented act that consolidated the Republic's power into one supreme ruler. Who was the German president at the time? And he was elected, actually re-elected, as president in 1932. Who was that? What was his name? I will tell you, it was a very prominent German name, particularly in a company and an industry.
Hindenburg?
That is correct.
Oh, Paul van Hindenburg.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly
I
right.
remember
Paul
now.
von
Hindenburg.
Hindenburg.
Right away, I
Much of he was a conservative, but he lost out to the Nazi Party.
Yep.
Consequently, many who were close to members' support, though Hindenburg detested the lawlessness of Hitler and the Nazis and their party, ultimately decided to oust his chancellor and name Hitler as the Chancellor of Germany. And, of course, he was hungry for power, and he convinced President Hindenburg to sign a decree that suspended individual and civil liberties in February of 1933, a gateway for Hitler to use false arrests to silence his political enemies, in which he did. Hindenburg, by the way, died. And do you know when he died?
1935.
1934.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Under mysterious circumstances.
you look back and say, what did he die from?
Yeah.
But it didn't say. And they had a public referendum August 19th, and Hitler received a 90% majority, and of course resulted in absolute power, which he wielded, that led to World War II and ultimately to the death of Adolf Hitler. Isn't there still mystery surrounding his death?
There's been stories circulated for years after that, because as you recall, the official story is that he, took his own life in the garden as the Allies were circulating.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, was the body ever found? That sort of thing. There was mysterious circumstances, whether or not he was burned, who knows what. And I think that's where the stories came from.
Yeah. All right, we missed yesterday, Teri, so August 18th and the year 1590. Historically, what happened?
1590.
I don't ever remember. I remember a lot of things as I grew up and took classes in history and so forth. But this incident, I do not remember reading or hearing the teacher talk about in
European
grade
history,
school or high school, for that matter.
Yeah, is Dave Wright European history?
Say that again.
Was Dave Wright, is it in Europe?
No, let me narrow it down to this country and on the East Coast.
In 1592?
1590, yeah.
Okay. Anything to do with like St. Augustine in Florida?
No.
Good guess. So we're in North America, is what we're saying. 1590, North America.
And narrow it down to North Carolina.
Sir Walter Raleigh?
Wasn't there a kids game you played on the phone?
Do you have Prince Albert in a can?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let him out.
So this has to do with tobacco, I'm guessing.
No.
Okay.
But it has to do with a colony. And come up with the city
the Massachusetts Bay Colony.
The colony.
Oh, that would have been
Massachusetts Bay
in North
Colony.
Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. I forgot that was that part.
A fascinating story and a spooky story, as a matter of fact.
You're talking about Roanoke.
Yes.
The Roanoke settlement.
I thought
yes,
that was
where
Virginia.
I thought so too.
Is North Carolina though?
Yeah, that's what it says.
But is it the Roanoke?
Located in present-day North Carolina.
Okay. So the Roanoke colony was the one where they were all disappeared. They
The
couldn't
guy
find-
came back and
and they were all gone.
Who was the guy?
Who's
Think the name of the guy who was governor of Roanoke Island. All right, his name was John White. And you're right. He returned from a supply trip to England, went to England to get supplies to bring back, and he found the settlement deserted, could find no trace of the 100 or so colonists who called Roanoke, located in present-day North Carolina, home.
And this also qualifies as the world record for the world's longest hide-and-seek game.
Yeah. There was no sign of violence or disease. Among the missing were White's daughter and his granddaughter. Who was that? Famous name, I think, for a wine. Virginia Dare. Does that ring a bell?
Yes. Wasn't she
The
first
first
child
English child to be born in America.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Founded in 1585 by, who's in the can?
Prince Albert's in a can.
No, Walter.
Oh, Walter. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sir Walter Raleigh.
Raleigh. Yes, yes.
Roanoke Island was the first English settlement in the New World. For centuries, archaeologists and historians were astounded by the mystery of what happened to what was called The Lost Colony.
The Lost Colony.
Yep. Didn't you just find the word Roanoke carved in a tree? Isn't that why?
Really?
He found something carved in a tree, and that was the only clue he had to go on.
Yeah.
And they were trying to decide, was it a tribe or was it
Could be, yeah.
something happened to that?
Well, the colony would seem to disappear without a trace, wondering if they perished and why, or if they had simply moved. In 2020, you ready for this? Mm-hmm. Researchers announced they discovered artifacts showing that the Roanoke colonists settled on Hatteras Island
Cape Hatteras.
with the friendly native Croatians, possibly solving the long unexplained mystery. Isn't that a fascinating story?
Yeah, the Lost
Maybe
Colony.
that's what the word.
The Lost Colony. And now you know
The rest of the story.
the rest of the story. And now we have a story from the American Red Cross.
Every 2 seconds, somebody in America needs blood. You can help by donating blood at your local American Red Cross. Donating blood is easy. It only takes about an hour, and a single donation can help save more than one life. This is Alex O'Loughlin asking you to donate blood to help somebody in need. A friend, a neighbor, or somebody you haven't even met. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE or visit them at givelife.org. The need is constant. The gratification is instant. Give blood.
Think about everything that you save. You save gas, you save money, you save time. But have you ever thought about saving life? That's right, life. In just 1 hour, you could save up to 3 lives, giving 3 people more time with the ones they love. And isn't that the best thing to save? The need for blood is as universal as it is constant. Save life, give blood.
Yeah, my understanding is the Red Cross is in need of blood donors, so keep that in mind. If you have the opportunity and the time, call the American Red Cross, make it a point, find out where they might be collecting blood, because they have blood drives periodically at different churches and businesses and so forth. A great, one of the great national, if not international, organizations in the country, in the world, for that matter. I want to remind everybody, we were talking about just around the corner is the Morton Pumpkin Festival coming up September 16th through the 19th, and this is the 60th anniversary. So it has been around for a long, long time. And I remember a couple of years ago, we would talk to, you know who owns that pumpkin factory now?
Nestle's.
Nestle, yeah.
Oh,
And we talked to their PR gal, and very interesting. We were talking earlier about how we had one year when things were bad, you couldn't get pumpkin pie filling. And it seems odd, but it is a tradition. The only time people really have a desire for pumpkin pie is in the fall, and particularly at Thanksgiving. And maybe at Christmas, but really Thanksgiving is...
it's my favorite pie, year-round.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it is also considered a theological sin to eat it without whipped cream. Or maybe a scoop of ice cream.
I'll take whipped cream.
And I have to
Yeah, I
have
would
it cold. I like chilled pumpkin pie.
Oh,
Can't be
really?
warm.
Do you
Yeah,
really?
yeah. In the fridge, it's better like a day or two after. Oh, very good. Pumpkin pie is my
Really?
favorite. I like mine
I
cold.
might try that sometime.
Oh, try chilled.
Because don't
chilled.
normally you eat it warmed?
See, I don't like it warm. If you have it chilled, it holds the pumpkin just perfect.
All right.
I like it room temperature.
Yeah. Either way.
Yeah, we just
Yeah,
like
exactly
pie.
right, yeah. What kind of American cloche are you eating there, Tyrus? The Italian beef from Frank Abner? Yeah.
Oh,
Outstanding for that matter.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be talking with Kevin Sullivan. In the meantime, let's do our news headlines. News at the bottom of the hour, 7:30, brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President. He's a financial advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley. For all your investment needs, call Bob. He's available today at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. It's all required when you say Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. That is required by the SEC. That's why somebody asked me, why do you give all those letters? I said, because I'm learning the alphabet.
A, B, C, D.
Here's Terry. Yeah, that's right.
3 states held primary elections yesterday: Florida, Wyoming, and Alaska. There were some important results. In the Florida Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, a socialist defeated Alex Vindman in what has been called a stunning upset. Vindman may be remembered as the guy who claimed President Trump was involved in wrongdoing with Ukraine. He lost to Angie Nixon, who will face Republican Ashley Moody in November. Also in Florida, Republican Corey Mills were not beyond the November ballot after he lost to former news anchor Ryan Elijah in the state's 7th congressional district. Mills has been under attack for alleged domestic violence and financial wrongdoing. The guy or gal who threatened to kill, of all people, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will spend the next 6 years behind bars. Riley Michael English pleaded guilty to traveling from Massachusetts to Washington, D.C. with a knife and 2 Molotov cocktails to assassinate the high government official. In other judicial news, Dr. David Morans, a former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci, has pleaded guilty to fraud charges for concealing evidence to the public that may relate to the origin of COVID-19. The Department of Justice said Morans covered up crucial medical information during the COVID-19 pandemic. He faces 5 years behind bars. President Trump is hoping the Supreme Court will allow construction of the ballroom to continue. A lower court ruled he cannot proceed without authorization from Congress. The National Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit to prevent the ballroom. The organization is a nonprofit group that critics say ignored significant changes to the White House by previous presidents. And we're going to talk with Peoria attorney Kevin Sullivan about this and a few other legal matters we'll throw at him.
Yeah, that's about pretty accurate there.
He just loves coming in here, don't you, Kevin?
I love being thrown at.
Yes.
Yeah.
In other news, Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued a disaster proclamation covering 15 counties, including Tazewell, Fulton, and Marshall. The proclamation facilitates crucial financial assistance, as well as permitting the state to fast-track needed equipment and supplies. And Morton officials are getting ready to celebrate the 60th Annual Pumpkin Festival. This year's event takes place September 16th through the 19th. The 2026 theme is Bam! Pow! Pumpkins! The highlight, as always, is the Pumpkin Festival Parade to be held Saturday morning, September 19th. And those are the headlines.
Yeah, I'm going to give you an Academy Award.
I love the bam pow.
You really got empathetic about that.
I can just see Batman and Robin hitting
throwing
the
pumpkins
Joker
at each other.
And the big bam and the pow in the screen.
Wow, nice going. Well, let's say have a check of the weather brought to you by Steve Sink, managing partner of PHX Affiliates. Steve has been a business broker for more than 20 years, working with clients confidentially and professionally for the sale or purchase of a business. You can get more information about business and finances from Steve Sink, PHX Affiliates at 309-696-8508. Dave, what do you have?
Well, our day starts off nice and fair, nice and peaceful, and ends up kind of stormy, kind of like a Cubs and White Sox game in the bleachers, right? We'll start with our report today. We're partly sunny today. It looks like a high of 80. Remember, those storms were rolling in about 1 o'clock, and we do have a flood watch out, so watch those saturated yards and basements. Take an umbrella with you as you head out today. Tonight, looking mostly cloudy, possible showers, a low of 64 degrees. And then tomorrow, we got 3 nice days coming up. Sunny 81 tomorrow, Friday sunny 82, and Saturday, guess what? More sunshine as we dry out, 81 degrees, and currently we're looking at 71 degrees, but it is a little humid out there as those showers will be moving in later today.
All right. Well, good morning, Kevin. Good to see you in the studio this morning.
Good to be here, Roger. Thank you.
Say, before we get into whatever we're going to get into, I have a question for you, and it may sound like I'm trying to be funny, but it is a serious question. We have this a clown who apparently wanted to do harm to Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary. Why he targeted him, I have no idea. I'm sure it may have come out of the trial. But he's a transgender. So he has two names, a male and a female now. What is the judge required or influenced by whether to address him or her?
Well, that's a good question. Not that it really matters.
No, I know,
at the
but
end of the day,
or night.
I think a lot of judges would say, what would you prefer to be called by, just to keep decorum and not to insult the defendant in a way that, if you're going to say, if it's, if the person was Jim and now they're Jimette, what would you prefer instead of antagonizing the defendant, where it gives the appearance of being unfair or biased?
I understand. I don't know where to start. Where would you like to start? Because there's so many things. The Clancy trial, the Mangione trial, the trial of the killer of Charlie Kirk, and the Meta trial, which is a big deal. Where do you want to start, Mr. Consular?
The fun thing that when Terry was spieling off the theme of the Morton Pumpkin Festival reminds me of the Karnak the Magnificent, Johnny Carson, when he gave the answer as sis, boom, ba, and the question then was, what's the last sound a sheep makes before it explodes?
That was one of my favorites. I was just going to say.
The band could not stop laughing for the rest of the show.
That almost surpassed the time when Ed Ames was on the program with a tomahawk, and was it Ames who threw it or Johnny Carson?
It was Ames.
And the cutout hit him right in the groin with the tomahawk.
Johnny said, I didn't know you were Jewish.
I remember.
And Ed lost it. He was laughing so hard.
That was a riot. And when you look back on the Johnny Carson show to what we have tonight, in the evening, and I never watch. It's gone from hilarity and fun for all, regardless of your party politics, to nothing but partisan politics.
It's awful.
And they ruin late night television.
Carson was obviously the gold standard, and as weird as they said he was in his personal life, he just shined in front of that camera and on that stage, and wherever he was, for that matter, publicly. But, and then Letterman and Leno were pretty good.
But they helped the slide.
They did, and they just didn't have the same, savoir-faire perhaps that Johnny did. And, now these clowns that are on there, I mean, it's just, you might as well watch Fox News or MSNBC for more fun. Well, actually, on Fox News, Gutfeld has higher ratings than those guys do.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Supposedly for their, the entertainers at our time at 10:30.
But, they had the big band, the NBC band. I remember my wife and we went out and visited my sister in California, and David Horowitz, who was a student, I don't know if you remember him, he wrote the book Fight Back, and he was a graduate of Bradley University, and he was a student of mine when I was a graduate assistant. And when I let him know I was coming out, and he said, we'll have lunch. And he didn't get me tickets to the Tonight Show. He said, you can get tickets. The line is forming outside. I said, thanks, pal, although he did buy lunch. So, any rate, what's her name? The blonde gal wasn't Johnny Carson. How disappointed I was.
Oh, Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers. And she was okay, and just being in there, but listening to the NBC band was just absolute. They were sensational. Doc Severinsen.
Doc is still alive.
Is he really? I was going to ask that next.
Didn't he bring his band to Bradley University one year?
Yeah,
I think he played at Dingledine.
Yeah.
What? Dingledine?
I think so.
Wow.
But the minute you were saying, I just love that.
Well, let's get into blood and guts and mayhem.
Well, let's talk about Mangione, I guess. That seems to be a hot topic right now.
Oh, the pretty boy.
And, the issue is, will the state prosecutors be able to prosecute him, or will that violate double jeopardy? And, it's the Fifth Amendment to our Constitution says a person cannot be tried twice for the same offense. And basically, it boils down to the prosecution has but one chance to prosecute you. If you're found not guilty, they can't re-prosecute you. If you're found guilty, they can't prosecute you again. And but there's an exception, because in most states they follow what they call the dual sovereignty sovereign rule, and that is if you commit a crime, chances are you can be prosecuted for that crime both in federal and in state court, because you're dealing with different governments, different agencies, different sovereigns. I've always opposed that, because I think it's just you're getting a second crack at the same thing, but at the same event, so to speak. For example, if somebody is, let's say, gets caught with drugs, cannabis, cocaine in their trunk, and let's say they're in Peoria, Illinois, and they're prosecuted in Peoria County, that's fine. They get prosecuted. Let's say they get convicted, they get sentenced. The feds can then prosecute them under most circumstances locally under the dual sovereign rule. And because drugs are always considered to be a means or a substance that has always involves interstate commerce, because chances are those drugs came from somewhere else, whether it was another country, through another state, what have you. And so, then it comes down to how is the punishment meted out? Is it double? Is it concurrent? Is it consecutive? And that gets a little bit more complicated. But New York has a strange rule, and that is New York opted out of the dual sovereign concept with the by statute. And what it said, it opted out. The New York law explicitly bars a separate secondary state prosecution if it's based upon the same underlying act or criminal transaction previously prosecuted by the federal government. So in this situation, they look at the entire transaction. You don't look at instead of looking at the leaves on the tree or the branches, you look basically at the forest. And if the prosecution comes out of the same event, the law favors in this situation a dismissal on double jeopardy grounds in New York. And a lot of people think that Mangione played, and his attorneys played loose and fast to get where he is right now, because for inexplicable reasons, the maximum punishment in the federal case is life without parole. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but in state court, death penalty's on the table. And who wouldn't rather go to a federal penitentiary than Rikers Island if that was the case? So, his trial was supposed to start on September 8th in New York. It's been postponed till December, right about the same time he's being sentenced in federal court in New York. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But it's going to be quite a tussle to see if the case will be dismissed on double jeopardy grounds based upon New York statutory law. So that, I think, is really, really going to be interesting to watch. And it's a very unique law. It wouldn't happen in most other places.
Yeah. What do you think is going to, your speculation is?
I tend to think that it's going to be dismissed. I tend to think the judge is going to say, no, our statute prohibits this prosecution, and it'll be dismissed sometime around December of this year. So
then would he be tried in state court?
No, he would not be tried in state court. They'll let the federal prosecution stand, and he probably will get life on that case as well, even though it was interstate stalking to commit a murder is what the federal statute is. So, it wasn't murder itself. They did have murder by firearm charged, and for reasons that nobody can figure out, the judge out in the federal judge dismissed that based upon some very, I think, based upon comments by former Attorney General Pam Bondi, and said that there's some things that were inherently unfair about what she said. And I'm like, that is a unique basis to dismiss a case, but nevertheless the judge did. That left the stalking case on the table, and his attorneys pounced on that to get a better result all around. So I think it's pretty good lawyering what happened out there on behalf of the defendant.
Yeah, I think legal experts would certainly agree, but from a layman's standpoint, when you see the video of him shooting the head of the United Healthcare in the back, fatally. I have no sympathy for this guy at all, which raises a question, or at least would like your opinion. Will he suffer more by spending the rest of his life in prison than if he got the death penalty?
I think so, if you think about it, because he will probably be held in a maximum security facility, probably in solitary confinement, meaning 23 hours a day. He will not see sunshine or sunlight outdoors. He won't experience rain, snow, sleet, any of that. Pining away knowing that his next move is going to be probably being carried out of a prison to be only taken 6 feet under after that. Okay. And I think that's pretty bleak as opposed to the death penalty that, when administered, you're going to be in some pain, you're going to be in some discomfort, but it's going to be quick in comparison. I suppose he's got to be preparing for the afterlife, which probably looks pretty bleak too, based upon his conduct here on Earth. So but the other thing too is about this New York law, and I don't disagree with it. But now that Mangione said, yes, I shot him in the back. It was my gun. I knew exactly what I was doing, and I knew it was illegal. How do you get around that when you're in state court now? What's the purpose? I think the only purpose of going to trial in New York would be to avoid the death penalty, because he certainly, if he does go to trial, is going to be found guilty in a New York second. And, it'll be interesting in the next 3 months.
All right. Item number 2 on the agenda is, unless you have something pressing, is the Clancy trial. Anytime there's a trial involving psychologists and psychiatrists and the different medications that patients receive and so forth, there is so much vagueness and ambiguity that it's hard to follow, other than the fact that she killed her 3 children, strangling each one. It just leaves me heartbroken.
Well, first of all, I think the defense is doing a great job with what they have to work with. And this woman is either as crazy as anybody that's ever walked on the face of the earth, or brilliant and setting up her own defense. But I think it was yesterday, it might have been Monday, I think her mother was on the stand in the defense case and was talking about her daughter needing help. I can't do this, and I think the mother came across, to me, very confident, very effective. She was not a drama queen, and I think did a very good job. I think this is going to boil down to, is she going to be not guilty by reason of insanity, or is she going to be guilty? And there's going to be obviously more coming out. It's going to be a battle of experts, as they say. She was on 13 different psychotropic medications, and it'll be interesting to see if one doctor prescribed all of those, or she had different doctors that were doing it unbeknownst to the other doctors. She wasn't taking all 13. Was that, they're going to get a pharmacologist that's probably going to talk about what the potential effects of those drugs are. And, you take for example, give you an example of how weird medication can be. There's a drug that they give to, let me get this straight here, it's Adderall. They give to kids that have ADHD. It calms them down. On the other hand, you give that to an adult and it hypes them up.
Oh, really?
And college kids take that when they're cramming for finals to stay up all night because it gives them energy. So here it is, you've got 2 different, you got 2 people in different medical situations, and the drug has the opposite effect. And I've known people in my family, especially, who have been over-medicated, and now they didn't have a complete psychiatric breakdown, but it made them sicker than they otherwise would have been. And right now, I know of a lady in Bloomington that's a friend of ours, and she got off some rather strong neuromuscular medication and is doing so much better without it. So, it's there is some legitimacy to this argument, and what did this concoction of medication, how did this really affect her? And I think when you get into the pharmacology aspect of it, it's going to legitimize this defense. It's too close to call it. I feel like it's an election too. Not enough votes in yet, but there's going to be so much more coming out, and it'll be interesting to see what the prosecution does in rebuttal. But I think we're a long way away from resolving this case, and they are from having a verdict one way or another. I don't know. I think this is a case. I think it's not a slam dunk for the prosecution, and stay tuned. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. All right, case number 3, and this is where the judge in a murder case out west is going to decide in September, after hearing all of the preliminary, almost trial-like information and evidence, as to whether or not there's going to be a trial, to try this client for murder. Yeah. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know what the delay is. I mean, this is taking more time than a trial should. This judge should have made the ruling. It's a pretty simple case. Preliminary hearing, the threshold's very low. Is there probable cause to believe this person committed this crime? Probable cause meaning, is there enough evidence? Very little. Like I said, the bar is very low. Is there some evidence to suggest this person committed the offense as charged? And I think a second grader could say, "Yep, looks like it to me." And why the need for briefing, arguments, and all this? This is a relatively new judge, as I understand it.
Yeah, he was just assigned to this position. We were talking about the Charlie Kirk shooting by the guys Robinson, and normally. In 1 hour, there's enough evidence to say, okay, we're going to go to trial. This guy has waited months, and maybe he needs to be on some drugs or removed from some.
Maybe some Adderall to speed him up.
To me, it makes no sense.
This thing started in June. I think it ended towards the middle of July, and I've never seen a preliminary hearing. Well, what happens in whether you're in federal court or whether you're in state court, the rules are before somebody can be officially charged with a felony, one of two things has to happen. The prosecution has to present the case to a grand jury. They have to return what is called a true bill of indictment, meaning finding probable cause to believe this person may have committed the crime as charged. Again, probable cause. In some counties, they don't, especially in Illinois, they don't use a grand jury because it's expensive. So what they do is they'll conduct a preliminary hearing. And we as defense attorneys by law are not entitled to receive reports, videos, forensic materials, witness statements prior to the preliminary hearing. But most good, effective, reasonable prosecutors will provide us with that as an attorney. So let's say my client is charged with I'm going to say aggravated DUI because it's his 4th DUI. And let's say I get the police reports and I see why he was stopped. I'm looking at the video where he appears impaired. He takes a breathalyzer. He's over .08. In most of those situations, most defense attorneys, and I think correctly or astutely, will waive. A defendant can waive a preliminary hearing and say, "Judge, let's move on to the next step. This is automatic or it's academic. I'm going to be indicted or I'm going to be found, there's going to be probable cause finding." But what defense attorneys will oftentimes do, especially when prosecutors are playing a little hide and seek with some of the evidence at that point, is they will use a preliminary hearing as an opportunity to start questioning the witnesses to get what we call discovery, to see exactly what the state has or doesn't have. And a lot of judges will then limit, they'll cut off a defense attorney from conducting a fishing expedition about a number of other things that should be left for trial. And this judge did not do that. I don't think, in the preliminary hearings I've had, even on very serious cases, I don't think the longest one took maybe an hour. I'm going back 40 years. And, however, I remember looking this up. Out in Utah, the law says that the court must allow the parties to present their cases, prosecution and defense, and not make a ruling prior to the close of all evidence. Now, in other states, I've seen judges about halfway through say, I've heard enough, probable cause is found, we're going to, next move is trial. This judge couldn't do that, but he certainly could have ruled from the bench when they were done, and should have done that, in my opinion. I think it's just a travesty to the Kirk family. Erica Kirk shouldn't have to suffer through this degree of uncertainty, and again, I'm sure the judge wants to get it right and afford everybody his goal is to make sure that the defendant gets an entirely fair proceeding.
Right.
And that's all good and fine. That's first and foremost. But still, what's fair to one may not be fair to two. That's why we have, as somebody said, well, we're a country of justice. No, we're a country of laws, because what may be just to somebody is not just to the other. The law is what it is. Yeah. But it should have been done, and they should be preparing for trial right now.
I would think a chief judge would call him up or call him on the carpet and say, hey, get this thing moving. Well, you're not doing the right thing.
Whether you're in state court or whether you're in federal court, the chief judge typically does not have that authority. The chief judge might be the supervisor, but they can't tell another judge how to rule. That's why we have appellate courts. And the case would then have to go up to the appellate court at some point, and it's obviously nowhere near that at this point. But if the question comes before the appellate court about the propriety of the judge's action at the preliminary hearing, I'm sure the appellate court will scold him for being a boob. Well, for protracting these proceedings unnecessarily.
I don't think that's a legal term, but finally, in the time we have left, tell us your thoughts about this lawsuit by a lot of women, a lot of mothers, over the influence of Meta and social media platforms that allegedly led to the suicide of young people and other misdeeds and so forth, when all they need to do is unplug their computers.
Well, I tend to agree. And a lot of people are comparing this litigation to the to big tobacco litigation 20, 25 years ago. And I think it's a different situation, because back then nobody knew, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but the general public certainly did not know the dangers of smoking back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, what have you, until the Surgeon General came out at some point and said it may be hazardous to your health. Well, duh. But
supplies.
Yeah, but this is, you're right. This is, they're trying to make money off of Meta for what I think is inadequate supervision by a parent or parents, or a person standing in the role of a parent or guardian. And turn off the computer. There should be time to do what you're going to do on the computer. Shut it down. There are studies that say that too much exposure to a computer or a tablet's bad on your brain, bad on your eyes, impedes your ability to get a good night's sleep, a number of things. And, like anything else, there's a time and a place. I know when I was growing up, dinner was at this time, homework was at this time, your chores were at this time, and if they weren't done, there were consequences. Well, kids should still have chores. They still should have a regular meal, and okay, now's the time you can relax and you can have 45 minutes on your computer, for fun, as opposed to being on it, let's say, to do your homework. So I think it's just a substitution for inadequate parenting, in my opinion, and I don't know where it's going to go, but it does seem to be gaining some traction.
Yeah. We all can sympathize with mothers who have lost a child to suicide, and it is, I think, innate psychologically to want to blame somebody other than yourself. And yet I know that parents who have a true conscience know inside, maybe I should have done something to save my daughter or son. But in the meantime, I'm going to get these people who are broadcasting or allowing insulting comments and so forth.
Well, the one thing about the social media platforms, our kids are being obviously bullied, they're being insulted, they're being threatened. And the difference between kids being bullied, let's say 30, 40 years ago, is Now you've got it in writing. Now you can see who's doing the
Yeah,
bullying.
yeah.
Now you've got the ability to go to some authority, whether it's a school, whether it's another parent, whether it's the police, and say, look, here's what so-and-so said about my kid. My kid's very upset, and, we need some intervention. So, I think, again, there's so many resources out there other than suing Meta that should be undertaken. And, you empathize. It's terrible when a child commits suicide when they're the victim of bullying. But I think there's a lot that can be done about it. And frankly, in my professional experience, I think that there's been a lot of bullying that's gone overlooked, or it's not being enforced as well as it should be within the school. And I think there should be greater. They all have policies, but I think the policies need to be beefed up, and the enforcement needs to be beefed up at school. And I think it should be determined to be a very serious infraction.
I wish you wouldn't use the word beefed up because it makes me hungry.
Yeah.
We have some of Frank Abnauer's Italian beef on this wonderful American Kalache, where they are providing delicious food and dessert and so forth. Anyway, thanks for coming in, Kevin.
We can hit on the ballroom maybe next week and see where that is.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because the preservations are dancing without the ballroom because I think they've got it stopped.
I think they're wrong. I tell you why, real quick. It's gone to the Supreme Court. Now, who knows when that will be heard and decided. And the Supreme Court can drag their feet for a while. In the meantime, the ballroom's at 65% completion. They're going to town on the ballroom.
Are they really? I thought
I think once it was appealed, I think they can resume construction.
Yeah.
I saw there must have been a dozen Caterpillar end loaders working feverishly, and I think once they get to a certain point that you can't turn back, so to speak, I think that's going to solve the problem. And I think the Preservation Society was a little late getting into the game.
Yeah. I hope the president gets it completed and then holds a big ball.
That's right.
and invites the people from the preservation.
You got to make them go outside in the tents.
Yeah, and eat in the tent.
That's right.
Yes. All right, Kevin, as always, thanks so much. Kevin Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen. News, weather, sports coming up next. Stay tuned. Reminder, we're going to have a wild time as we talk to Lacey Wild of the zoo of sorts. Well, anyway, stay tuned. That's coming up at 8:15. Yeah, I can't wait. It will be a fun time. Hey, it is Wednesday, the 19th of August, and we start with a check of the weather brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap between hospital and home with skilled nurses, therapists, and personal care assistants. Been around helping families since 1993. Quality care by quality healthcare professionals, available 24/7 to take care of your loved one. You can get details from the folks at Spoon River at 309-245-0723. And Dave has our weather. Dave?
I do indeed. Right now it's partly cloudy out there, but it's going to change today too. We do have a flood watch after 1 p.m. today because showers and thunderstorms will be moving in this afternoon. So take those umbrellas with you if you haven't left for work already. Partly cloudy before those storms move in this afternoon, a high of 80 degrees. And then tonight, showers continuing until late, and then mostly cloudy. Low of 64 degrees. And then some nice days come our way. Tomorrow, sunny, a high 81. Friday, sunny and 82. Saturday, sunshine, 81. Lower humidity, we do hope, because right now the temperature is 72 degrees with pretty humid out there in advance of those showers.
All right, now the news. And the news this morning Brought to you by Morton Community Bank, founded in 1960. It has grown over the years and today has 50 branch locations offering personal, business, and agricultural banking services with that well-known hometown feeling. Look for the clock tower and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. Here's Terry with our lead story.
3 states held primary elections yesterday: Florida, Wyoming, and Alaska. There were some important results. In the Florida Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, a socialist defeated Alex Vindman in what has been called a stunning upset. Vindman may be remembered as the guy who claimed President Trump was involved in wrongdoing with Ukraine. He lost to Angie Nixon, who will face Republican Ashley Moody in November.
Also in Florida, Republican Corey Mills would not be on the November ballot after he lost to former news anchor Ryan Elijah in the state's 7th congressional district. Mills has been under attack for alleged domestic violence and financial wrongdoing.
A lot of people have questioned the accuracy of political polls, from the huge defeat by Hillary Clinton to the recent loss of far-left Wisconsin Democrat candidate Francesca Hong. Median Strategies was one of those survey organizations that said Hong had a 23% lead for the Democrat nomination. She lost. The same polling firm had Karen Bass winning the nomination again as Los Angeles mayor by 12 points. Bass did win, but barely.
Median Strategies is now out of business after admitting their survey results were all fake. The problem remains because some of their Wisconsin results were the same as other public opinion polls. Yet cable news channels like Fox still broadcast their polls as if they're believed, even though the surveys typically poll around 1,000 people.
The guy or gal who threatened to kill, of all people, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will spend the next 6 years behind bars. Riley Michael English pleaded guilty to traveling from Massachusetts to Washington, D.C. with a knife and 2 Molotov cocktails to assassinate the high government official.
In other judicial news, Dr. David Morans, a former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci, has pleaded guilty to fraud charges for concealing evidence to the public that may relate to the origin of COVID-19. The Department of Justice said Morans covered up crucial medical information during the COVID-19 pandemic. He faces 5 years in prison and a fine of $250,000 when sentenced.
President Trump is hoping the Supreme Court will allow construction of the ballroom to continue. A lower court ruled he cannot proceed without authorization from Congress. The National Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit to prevent the ballroom. The organization is a nonprofit group that critics say ignores significant changes to the White House by previous presidents.
In other news, Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued a disaster proclamation covering 15 counties, including Tazewell, Fulton, and Marshall. The proclamation facilitates crucial financial assistance as well as permitting the state to fast-track needed equipment and supplies.
Morton officials are getting ready to celebrate the 60th Annual Pumpkin Festival. This year's event takes place September 16th through the 19th. The 2026 theme is Bam! Pow! Pumpkins! The highlight, as always, is the Pumpkin Festival Parade to be held Saturday morning, September 19th.
And an overnight fire last night displaced 3 people living in a house in the 1700 block of South Faraday. One of the 3 went to local hospital for treatment, and the cause of the fire appears to be accidental. And those are our headlines for this half hour.
All right, you've got it now. News from WCBU. In the meantime, you know, losing a pet affects just about everyone. And the caring people of Peoria Pet Crematory know that. Wonderful people. And they're available 24/7 to help you and your family through the grieving process, offering several choices for care and remembrance. Peoria Pet Crematory, you can reach them today at 309-713-1898. The number again, 713-1898.
From the WCBU Newsroom, I'm Ryan Denham. Peoria Mayor Rita Ali is eager to see progress on efforts to revitalize Main Street. Ali says she hopes the addition of 3 eateries and a boutique hotel to the Main Street side of the historic Madison Theater building can spur future development.
It's part of our great bigger plan to make Main Street again, to give it life again.
Ali says one goal of a pending West Main Street TIF district is to get vacant buildings occupied. She says the hope is to restore vibrancy in the corridor from the riverfront all the way to the Bradley University campus. Ali says the city is still waiting to receive state funding that's been pledged for Main Street infrastructure improvements. A property improvement grant of more than $45,000 for the Cherry Tree Plaza Shopping Center in Washington is back on the table. The City Council denied the grant last month, but brought it back this week for discussion with a representative of the mall's Florida-based property management firm. Alderperson Paula Johnson is among the council members concerned about using public money to benefit an out-of-state entity.
I really support businesses that generate sales tax, but I do think it's our job to be very mindful of the fact that these are taxpayer dollars, that it's not just a magical pot of money.
The grant would cover half the estimated cost of improvements needed in a vacant 25,000 square foot space. A McLean County jury has found a Georgia man guilty in the 2022 shooting death of a Peoria teenager. 22-year-old Tommy Yale Anderson was convicted Monday after a week-long trial. Jurors heard testimony placing Anderson at a party in Bloomington where prosecutors say he shot and killed 17-year-old Rich Woods High School senior Kanye Stowers. He'll be sentenced October 27th. Illinois is now the third state to allow rideshare drivers to unionize. Under a new law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, drivers for Uber and Lyft can form a union. There are believed to be more than 100,000 rideshare drivers in Illinois, and supporters said the law was needed to boost wages and improve work conditions. The law also includes a 4-cent per ride charge to the rideshare company to cover union implementation costs and a grant program to support drivers. Find more news at WCBU.org. I'm Ryan Denham.
For sports, and Travis Kileon is here to bring you up to date, particularly about the Chiefs, the Cubs, the White Sox, you name it. Tyrus, what do you have for all of our eager sports fans this morning?
Well, thank you, Roger. Let's start with these Philly Chiefs at 55 and 58. They play today against the Landing Lugnuts, affiliate with the Athletics. They play at 12:05 today. That's the away series. 5 games left in the series, including today. MLB news: the Cubs are in second place, 4.5 out of first, 74 and 53. They beat the White Sox last night, 4-3, and a walk-off win, another walk-off win, by Alex Bregman. It's the crosstown rivalry, and they will go for that sweep today at 1:20 p.m. The Cardinals at 65 and 62 in third, 13.5 games out of first, 3 games out of the wild card spot. They shut out the Reds 3-0 last night. They play today at 5:40 p.m. If they win the next 2, they will win 4 out of 5 games in this series. Cardinals getting back at it. The Yankees at 70 and 55, 5 games behind the Rays. They beat the Orioles yesterday, 3-1. They will go for the series win today at 5:35 p.m. The White Sox at 65 and 60, 4 games up in the lead for first in their division. The Phillies at 69 and 58 in second, 5.5 games out of first. Beat the Marlins 6-4. Will go for the sweep today at 5:05 p.m. And then I forgot to mention this, but the Brewers.
Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, they beat the Mariners 22-0 in a shutout. Largest shutout since
now wait a minute, you're talking about a football game? 22-0.
It's what it sounds like, but it's a largest shutout since 1887, I guess. So.
Who'd they play? The Chiefs?
I guess they played like a minor league team, the old Mariners, but
Seattle.
Yeah.
Right.
Brewers 22-0.
That caused you
22 hits in the game.
Terrible.
Yeah.
You know what happened to the 10-run rule?
Brutal
anyway.
Game. Not in the majors.
Not in the majors.
Oh, you need it.
You take your lumps.
Was anybody? Yeah, you take your lumps. Yeah.
They usually
I'll
just
have a 2 in my coffee.
Yeah. They usually throw out like a position player.
Yeah, I know.
For those innings, so.
Yeah.
Some of them do good. Some of them just kind of go out there and just toss it in there.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to the WNBA here. The Indiana Fever are 24-12 after beating the Toronto Tempo 101-95. Caitlin Clark, 24 points, 7 assists. Kelsey Mitchell pitched in with 29 points. They play the Dallas Wings tomorrow at 7 p.m. Chicago Sky at 14-22 beat the New York Liberty last night, 93-86. They play Friday at 6:30 versus the Golden State Valkyries, who are 25-9. And then some Chicago Bears news. They add to the D-line. They signed Marcus Davenport. He's struggled with injuries over these past couple of years, but see what they get out of him. Maybe he's healthier. And then Deonter Prince. He's a defensive back, and they play their second preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals at 6 p.m. this Saturday. Kyle Monanguys hyperextended his knee in practice also.
Oh, poor guy. Poor baby.
He'll be out a couple of weeks. That's the running back that
Whoopee.
He's pretty good though.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sports.
Tyrus, all the latest. We'll be right back with our conversation with Lacey Wild of Wild Times Exotic Zoo. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
How can you measure the value of education-based athletics? Well, the value is in what makes it invaluable. That's because school sports aren't just about winning. They're about learning and growing. School sports aren't just about gaining trophies and accolades. They're about learning life lessons, bringing a whole community together, developing character and integrity, having coaches who mentor you, and teammates who become lifelong friends. And you can't put a price on any of that. That's what makes education-based athletics invaluable. Of course, when you participate in school sports, you want to win and become a better athlete, but the purpose is so much greater, becoming a better person. Support your local school sports programs. And if you have a student, encourage them to get involved.
This message presented by the NFHS and the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Every 2 seconds, somebody in America needs blood. You can help by donating blood at your local American Red Cross. Donating blood is easy. It only takes about an hour, and a single donation can help save more than one life. This is Alex O'Loughlin asking you to donate blood to help somebody in need. A friend, a neighbor, or somebody you haven't even met. Call your American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE or visit them at givelife.org. The need is constant. The gratification is instant. Give blood.
Think about everything that you save. You save gas, you save money, you save time. But have you ever thought about saving life? That's right, life. In just 1 hour, you could save up to 3 lives, giving 3 people more time with the ones they love. And isn't that the best thing to save? The need for blood is as universal as it is constant. Save life, give blood.
Well, boys and girls, we're ready to go wild this morning because we're going to talk to a young lady down around Dawson, Illinois, by the name of Lacey Wild, and I think Lacey's on the line. Good morning, Lacey.
I am. Good morning, Roger.
So happy. Well. You bet. Let's remind everybody that you are the owner, founder, and the head zookeeper for a showtime, you might say, called Wild Times Exotic Zoo. Did I have all that right?
Yeah. So I operate Boss Lady for Wild Times Exotics. We are a federally licensed zoo, but a little different than most zoos. I own my zoo rather than the city.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Did you grow up hanging around sheep and buffalo and giraffes? I don't. Where'd you get this feeling to do what you do, which is wonderful?
So, yeah, I did kind of grow up in this world. As a kid, we always had pets. I grew up on a farm. I spent my whole childhood in 4-H and showed things like goats and chickens and cats and dogs and small pets, things like that. And then we always had some exotic pets. It started out, what I call really basic and normal, but probably to a decent amount of people was a little far-fetched. We had chinchillas and ferrets, little or smaller, rather, exotic animals, pet store like ones you could get. And as I got older, it just kind of expanded from there. From a really young age, my mom raised different parrots. So I had always been around parrots. I like them. I think I just had a little too much exposure to them as kids. So I don't have any of those as part of my zoo, at least currently. And the older I got, they just became more exotic animals that we had in our family. You know, at one point, we had emus and Cotamundi. That was the first exotic animal that I purchased with my own money in junior high. Cotamundi is a member of the Procyonidae, or raccoon family. They're a very intelligent, very ornery animal, and unlike raccoons, they're diurnal, so they're awake during the day with us. And then from then, we had some smaller monkeys, so it just kind of expanded from there. I very much grew up in that world and wanted to work with animals, but having the childhood I did, I had animals that I could touch and, you know, cuddle with and interact with as much as they wanted or I was able to provide. So I had no desire to really work in a zoo. Most of those big zoos are really not much in hands-on with their animals, and that's just not something I felt I could give up. So I went to school for something totally different. I went to school for criminal justice, and I met someone who did VDU events where they take their exotic animals to libraries or schools or daycares, birthdays to educate on those animals. And it was a very hands-on thing, just like I had been used to for my childhood. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's what I want to do. So rather foolishly, maybe it was seen at the time, but I dropped out of school, and this past July I've been open 12 years doing VDU events. So very happy with my decision.
Yeah, it is exciting. How do you define what's exotic?
To me, it's animals that are not typically native to the United States. So, for example, you've got Chihuahua dogs. Well, of course, they're not native to the United States, but they've been here for so long that people just see them as, you know, not an exotic animal, just a dog. So, yeah, to me, it's animals that you're not typically going to see in the United States. They don't originally domesticate or originate, rather, from the United States.
And so what you do, you have a collection. We'll have you describe your collection of exotic animals. And you have a building where they are housed. And children and adults make an appointment to come down. And you show them, usually one by one. It's rare if you have two of them running around at the same time, working with the kids. Do I remember that right?
Yeah, for the most part, it is just one animal at a time, or at least one species at a time. It's a lot to take in. The animals are, for the most part, able to run around freely when we do our encounters, so trying to keep an eye on multiple different species at one time would be rather unsafe for some of the different species, and then it's just a lot at once. Doing it that way gives you a chance to really have that intimate experience and just focus on that one animal.
Yeah.
The experience that you're getting rather. So my collection, I focus on animals that are, one, legally safe to touch, and two, physically safe to touch. So I don't have any lions, tigers, or bears that you'll be coming to pet by any means. My animals are typically smaller animals, much easier to travel with. So no giraffes, no elephants, or rhinoceros, things like that. So, for example, I do have some Cotamundi now. I have the capybara, which I believe that's what you guys came to visit me to see. I have a sloth, kangaroo, wallaby, fennec foxes, got ring-tailed lemurs, kinkajou, bush baby. I do have a Virginia opossum, striped skunk, guinea pig. We've got a huge variety of reptiles. little lizards to lizards that are over 6 foot long and not done growing. A huge variety of snakes, different sizes and colors, and we've got a bunch of arachnids or tarantulas, and then a few different types of bugs.
Yeah. What is the most popular animal that the kids get to play with?
It's going to be the capybara.
Yeah. Describe him. We're on radio. We're not on television. Describe this lovable creature. And he or she, I don't know what we were playing with. Yeah. Describe what they look like.
A capybara is the world's largest rodent. They can get to be up to 250 pounds. They're typically orangish brown, sometimes grayish brown, and they have massive teeth. Rodent teeth grow their entire life, so they're always looking for things to chew on, and being that they are vegetarian, they need to eat a lot of produce to be able to get to be their size. And they're also a semi-aquatic animal, so they spend a fair amount of their life in water and have webbed toes for their ability to swim. Breaststroke for 5 minutes underwater.
Wow, 5 minutes. That's amazing. Yep. And they're so lovable. The kids that we came down and showed for, that creature would sit in their lap, and they could feed them carrots and lettuce. It was a fascinating experience.
Yeah, he is the typical temperament of a capybara, too. There's really nothing at all that I've done to get him to be as sweet as he is. He just sees people as a way to get his food and enjoys getting the pets and rubs. So, yeah, I mean, it's just positive reinforcement. There's nothing I've done to make him as sweet as he is. That's how they typically are. So at least with other animals or humans.
So he sees humans as snack.
I was to say, does he see us as food or bringing food?
No, bringing humans as snack. Yeah, providing the food.
Yeah, providing the snacks.
I like that clarification.
You know, we're talking with Lacey Wild of Wild Times Exotic Zoo, and I found I think parents and adults enjoy it more than the kids.
I definitely feel like I get some parents who are like, I came for my kid. I have no idea what a capybara is, but they're capybara crazed. And by the end of it, they're like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. Captain was amazing. I can't believe how lovable he was. He has no idea he's as big as he is, and he wanted to sit on everyone's lap. So, yeah, I think parents, for the most part, come having no idea what they're walking into, and then by the time they leave, they're like, okay, no, I get the craze. Now I'm obsessed too.
Lacey, as an owner of a dog and dogs my entire life, and Teri has had a lot of cats and still does, they develop an affection for us. Does the capybara, has he fallen in love with you?
Yeah, but that happened much, much earlier than, how do I word that? That happened much faster, I think, than it happened with, any of the public, just because he was getting a bottle several times a day when I got him, and he was very, very bottle obsessed. So having that constant bottle feeding time was just, really building on his connection to me. So, yeah, he developed that bond with me pretty quickly. And then my daughter, of course, wanted to feed him quite a bunch. And when he was littler, she would swim in our bathtub with him. So he's also quite bonded to her. With really anyone, he's going to assume you have a bowl of food, but there's definitely a stronger bond that he has with me and my daughter than anyone.
Is the fennec fox as friendly?
So, fennec foxes are just a ball of energy. Oh. They are very friendly, but good luck actually want to sit still and cuddle you. Mine have been doing events since they were just a few weeks old. So mine know that it's just a few minutes worth of pet, and they're going to get a treat, and they can go back to playing or sleeping. So mine are very used to it, but am I sitting there cuddling them, watching a movie? Yeah, definitely not. That is not something they would enjoy by any means.
Okay.
How many total?
Now, if you ask my husband that question, he'll give you a totally different answer. My fennec foxes do not like my husband, and they will try and bite him. I don't know what it is about him. They have always hated my husband.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it sure is.
I don't know if they smell the reptiles on him or what, but yeah, they just do not care for my husband at all.
And that actually is very fascinating. How many animals do you have? And some of which you do periodically with the people who come and visit.
Yeah, so we don't count our insects. That's just really not something I'm able to do. So I would say somewhere around 60 to 70 different animals. Some I have multiple species of. Others I have just one. I've got a lot of ferrets. Unfortunately, that's something we get requests to take in, but I only have one sloth, and currently only have one capybara. I have a few fennec foxes, so some I have multiples of, some just one of.
Now, when somebody calls and books an appointment, and you might say a consultation with you and your animals, how much time do you allow for them to spend?
So when someone comes to our facility, you have the option to book 1, 2, or 3 animals. With each animal, you're going to get a half an hour. So one animal, you'd have a half an hour. 2, you would have an hour. 3, you would have 90 minutes. With that being said, if someone were to only book one animal, sometimes we have people who drive several hours. I don't want them making that long drive for a half an hour. So I try and fill that remaining, half an hour in a booking with another animal or two that I surprise them with. It could be things like our skunk or our fennec fox or snake or ferret, something smaller and a little bit easier, and typically a little bit more, I don't want to say cuddly, but it's something they can physically hold in their hands because, Captain's rather large and he'll sit in your lap. You can't exactly hold him in your hands. If we are coming to you, that time's typically a little different because I'm usually focusing on a whole lot more animals in 1 hour, so that time you get with each animal is somewhere between 7 and 10 minutes. With the exception of our sloth encounters. If we come to you for a sloth encounter, you're typically going to see our sloths for about 45 minutes to an hour. But sloths are very, very in need of a really calm, quiet, chill environment. So it is a very controlled environment that we do our sloth encounters in when we come to someone. So if I were just flipping through her person to person, that would be rather stressful with her. So when we take her to events, she's typically sitting on a person's lap for, a half an hour to an hour at a time because only 1, maybe 2 people are able to hold her.
I will tell our listeners, Lacey, make sure the kids and adults have a good time. She's very accommodating. It's a wonderful experience. If people want to make a booking and line up a visit, what number do they call, Lacey?
Yeah, so you can call me, 217-415-3243. I will say that I have a zoo, I have a kindergartner, and I'm apparently crazy and also have a part-time job as well. So I can be rather difficult to reach. Text is always the best way to get a hold of me. But we actually have a system set up that you can go online and you can book your own visit to come to us, and you don't even have to contact me at all. You can do that all on your own. And that can be found through our website or our Facebook page. Our website is just our zoo name, wildtimesexotics.com. And on our Facebook, you can just find us, search Wild Times Exotics. You can't mistake it. It's the page with all the animals looking adorable.
Yeah, they certainly are. And you will love it, the experience, and we're looking forward to coming back again. Lacey Wild,
good.
And I'm not going to make any comments about that. I'm sure many people have already said, for a wild time, call Lacey at wildtimesexotic.com. Always great talking to you. God bless you. You do a wonderful job, and no one goes away disappointed because you make sure everybody has a good time, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Roger. I hope you have a good rest of your Wednesday.
You bet, too. You bet. Lacey Wild, what a neat person and what a neat event. And if you have children, grandchildren, I would strongly recommend it because I had that, capybara, is that what?
Yeah, Captain.
Sitting in my lap. And as I said earlier, almost looks like a huge porcupine on steroids.
But he doesn't have the quills.
No, it doesn't. And it's so gentle. Have you ever heard of the animal?
Yes, I have.
I hadn't heard it. It's unbelievable. Well, let's get into the news and update you on stories we're following this morning. Our news at the bottom of the hour brought to you by Steve Sink, Certified Business Specialist with BHX Affiliates, a great organization. You know, Steve has been a business broker for over 20 years. He has sold businesses. He has bought businesses. He's helped anybody who wants to sell a business or buy one. And you can receive, if you're interested, at 309-696-8508. Now with our stories, here's Terry.
3 states held primary elections yesterday: Florida, Wyoming, and Alaska. There were some important results. In the Florida Democratic primary for U.S. Senate, a socialist defeated Alex Vindman in what has been called a stunning upset. Vindman may be remembered as the guy who claimed President Trump was involved in wrongdoing with Ukraine. He lost to Angie Nixon, who will face Republican Ashley Moody in November. Also in Florida, Republican Corey Mills will not be on the November ballot after he lost to former news anchor Ryan Elijah in the state's 7th congressional district. Mills has been under attack for alleged domestic violence and financial wrongdoing. The guy or gal who threatened to kill, of all people, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will spend the next 6 years behind bars. Riley Michael English pleaded guilty to traveling from Massachusetts to Washington, D.C. with a knife and 2 Molotov cocktails to assassinate the high government official. In other judicial news, Dr. David Morens, a former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci, has pleaded guilty to fraud charges for concealing evidence to the public that may relate to the origin of COVID-19. The Department of Justice said Morens covered up crucial medical information during the COVID-19 pandemic. He faces 5 years behind bars. President Trump is hoping the Supreme Court will allow construction of the ballroom to continue. A lower court ruled he can't proceed without authorization from Congress. The National Trust for Historic Preservation filed a lawsuit to prevent the ballroom. The organization is a nonprofit group that critics say ignored significant changes to the White House by previous presidents. In other news, Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued a disaster proclamation covering 15 counties, including Tazewell, Fulton, and Marshall. The proclamation facilitates crucial financial assistance as well as permitting the state to fast-track needed equipment and supplies. And finally, Martin officials are getting ready to celebrate the 60th annual Pumpkin Festival. This year's event takes place September 16th through the 19th. The 2026 theme is Bam, Pow, Pumpkins.
Well done.
Well done, yeah.
I tell you, good sound
Nominated
effects in the studio
for
today.
And see, you guys need to be holding up little placards with the Pam, Pow. Anyway, the highlight, as always, is the Pumpkin Festival Parade to be held Saturday morning, September 19th. And those are the headlines, Roger.
How about a check of the weather brought to you by Kyle Varnold, providing personal and business insurance for auto, home, life, and health. Kyle works with multiple carriers to find the right policy at the right price, and you can get more information from Kyle today at 309-682-0519. Here's weather.
Well, here it is indeed, and we're starting today with a partly cloudy, kind of partly sunny-ish day, but beware because storms are coming through. We are under a flood watch later this afternoon because some of those training storms could come our way this afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms, and the high of today of 80, and those showers will be moving into this evening too, with a mostly cloudy outlook, possible showers and a low of 64. However, cheer up, everybody, because some sunny days are coming our way. Tomorrow, sunny, a high 81. Friday, sunny and 82. Saturday, sunshine and 81. So again, that humidity lower, just some delightful days coming up. And currently, we're looking at 73, kind of muggy out there, but as those rains comes in. So have a great Wednesday, everybody.
Yeah, and we continue on WACU FM 90.7 in Peoria, Illinois. Also on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS, and Tyrus is our sports guy on Wednesday morning. How many games do you know the Chiefs have left? Is it 5 games? And I think they end with a home
Yeah.
Oh,
they're on the road. Yeah, they're on the road right now.
But
Yes.
they end the
And
season.
then they come back and they end
at
at home.
Dozer Park.
Yep.
Because don't they have a day where they have drawings for prizes and so forth as a way of thanking fans for their support during the year? And this Baez kid, by the way, apparently played for the Peoria Chiefs
last
at one
summer.
time.
Exactly. He was
Last
here for
summer, really?
He was out here for a month or so, and yes, I remember reading an article about him last year.
Oh, yeah,
and
I've
look
been-
at him now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he set a world record thanks to Cub manager Greg Conso and Matt Boyd, who couldn't get him out. Why Boyd pitched to him the third time is beyond me. But he's gone. He has gone hitless since then.
Yeah.
I think he's like 0 for 20.
I figured I did my work last Saturday. You know,
Yeah,
I can take a breather.
Exactly
He chipped
right.
back in with a sack fly yesterday.
Yeah.
But, he'll be fine.
Well, I'm sure he will be fine, but it just shows you don't let success go to your head because
I mean, yeah,
it is tough. Anyway, what'd you find out about the Chiefs? When do they end their season?
I think it's
And
September
with-
5th, isn't it?
Well, he can't find that.
Well, I mean-
you find that out. In the meantime,
I got
here's
the
our
Quad City.
pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. The arrival of warmer weather means more time outside for you and your pets. But even in your own backyard, there are some potential hazards that could get in the way of fun. And so can the products we use to keep the slugs from eating those plants. A new type of slug bait is on the market and often advertised as organic and safe for pets and children. Instead of the metaldehyde baits that have been in use for quite some time, this new bait uses iron phosphate. While iron phosphate is a natural ingredient found in our environment, owners should be aware that iron phosphate is toxic to animals if they eat too much of it. The Animal Poison Control Center lists these symptoms as signs of iron phosphate toxicity: lethargy and vomiting, severe dehydration, and collapse due to prolonged vomiting. 2 to 12 hours after ingestion, animals may suffer severe acid-base disturbance. In 2 to 4 days, animals will suffer from liver failure. So as with any chemical you use, do so sparingly and keep a close watch on your pets to see if they are attracted to it. It's always a good idea to have on hand the phone numbers for your veterinarian, a local emergency animal hospital, and the Poison Control Center. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's Pet Tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Well, there you have our pet tip of the day, and that followed a wonderful interview with Lacey Wild of the Wild Exotic Zoo, for that matter. I know we've done this in the past, but I forget what we wound up saying. But other than a dog or a cat or a snake, what's your favorite animal? And if you could, you would keep it, if you could, in terms of facility and lawfulness as well, because we know some people have kept animals that were illegal to have in your possession, such as big snakes. But if you could, what's your favorite animal other than cats? The cat woman here.
Well, it's still going to be a cat, but it'd be an ocelot. They're kind of
a what?
An ocelot.
An awful lot of what?
Ocelot.
ocelot.
O-C-E-L-O-T. It's an exotic big cat. Yeah, it looks like a cheetah or...
Is it dangerous?
Well, any animal can be dangerous. I mean,
humans can be dangerous.
So sometimes they're more dangerous than the other animals. Yes.
Right.
I just want a hippopotamus for Christmas.
Oh,
that's not what we want.
Where would he say? Wherever he wants to.
Exactly.
But, no, do you have a favorite animal?
I do. Of course, I like both cats and dogs. I've had them both. I mean, growing up, we had rabbits. Not for dinner. We just had rabbits. But we had cats and dogs, and I've had both. I love them both. Two cats I love. I love the dog. I like our boxer. So yeah, I guess so. What exotic animal? I like giraffes. I don't know why, but I don't know if I can put a giraffe in my house. So.
No,
I'd have to have a sunroof.
You'd have to, pardon the expression, you'd have to have a high rise.
Hey, well done there. I like that. You know what I like? Whenever I go to the zoo, like St. Louis Zoo, yes, you are. Yeah. I like penguins. Do you like penguins?
That's his.
That's mine.
We go to St. Louis Zoo, and wife, and when the kids were little, I'd sit there and I'd be there for half an hour. Everybody else would go on. Where'd you go? Watching the penguins. They're fun to watch. They're social.
The best.
I walk like a penguin.
Yeah.
I mean,
penguins.
So I mean,
they're always ready. They're well prepared, apparel-wise.
Yes, they are exactly. Well dressed. We got dressed up for you today.
Proms and dances and so forth.
Yeah, they're ready.
Yeah, they're ready.
Penguin suit.
Ready made.
So there you go.
How about you, Tyrus? What's your favorite animal?
Well, oh my gosh, I don't know.
You don't know. Mine, in addition to the little fellas, is an elephant. I could watch an elephant. I think elephants can be...
Well, they're really smart, too.
Did the elephant...
wasn't
there a story recently about how an elephant saved a child?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't remember the details, but I think
there's
an
an elephant named Rosie. That's really smart.
The old baby elephant walk.
You should be playing the baby elephant walk.
Play the baby elephant walk for us.
Elephant walk, yeah. Who played that?
Lions,
Hugo Windsor,
bears.
The Elephant's Walk.
I thought it was Mancini.
I thought
it might have been
that's
Hank Mancini, one of the all-time great orchestra leaders. You know, I know people, and don't ask me who they were, who've gone on safaris in Africa and spent time in the wild.
Yeah.
And then they would get in the special vehicle, and they would go out tracking the animals, and you hope that they wouldn't charge them, and including, the big cats They can be very dangerous. The lions, the leopards.
Yeah, some of the lions, though, they get in there when you're out in the
wild.
Yeah, they'll get in there and, like,
bang around.
Rev up on you. But
they're just big
I
cats.
guess you're okay. I mean,
just don't make any sudden moves.
They're just big cats.
There's something about a rainy afternoon. You're reading a book and the cat just curls up next to you.
Yeah.
And then looks at you. We are not amused.
Yeah, so if you have to move for a minute.
Yes. We need to request that.
Have you ever had on your, not that you even have a list, the bucket list? Did you see that movie? I wouldn't go see that movie. Too depressing.
I've never seen it, but I know what it is.
Yeah. Do any of you have a list of things that you want to do as you enter the so-called golden years that are really olden years? There's nothing gold about the olden years.
My list every day. Mow the grass, paint this. Move to a condominium.
Not the list that your wife
I have one for sale.
Yeah, it's just every day that looks more and more tempting.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Terry has a
well, there you go.
a condo that
you don't have to cut the grass anymore.
Yeah, that's so appealing.
Now you do pay a monthly fee, right? For
but
the homeowners or
$160, and just think,
no,
because that covers your mowing in the summertime, snow removal in the wintertime.
How are they in the wintertime? Are they Johnny on the spot? Or do you have to say, hey, I got to do breakfast with Roger and friends, so I need you to shovel my drive?
If it was 2 inches or more, then they would come plow us out. But they would usually, we figured if we were plowed out by 10 o'clock, that was a good thing. Mm-hmm. However, yes, now that I'm doing this early morning show, it was like, shoot, I have to leave before we get plowed out.
Early morning, I look at a button on my dashboard that says 4-wheel drive.
It's
lucky you.
It's called plowing.
Yeah. However, where you live, which is really neat, you're just a half a block from a main thoroughfare. Does the city do a pretty good job plowing that on Reservoir?
Yeah, Reservoir is pretty well plowed.
Because that's a major snow route, is it not?
Yes. We're also pretty fortunate in that our snow removal people live at the bottom of our hill. Their landscaping is down there. So when they come up, they have their plow, so they plow our street too.
No kidding.
Which that works out very nice. But once again, with me leaving so early, they haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
But
well, again, that's one of the downside of being early. But the upside is when you get done, are they usually done with your neighborhood?
Oh yeah, but by the time I come home, it's usually our streets plowed and my driveway's plowed out. So
I live right on Sheridan, so it's always plowed. Except my driveway is a long driveway. That's on me, I guess. So it's called a 26-inch snowblower.
Here we are, the 19th of August,
and we're talking about snow already. Yeah,
snow plowed, but it's around the corner, which also raises the question: do you pay any attention, like we did years ago, particularly in the 40s, to the Farmer's Almanac? That used to be the weather Bible for many
cold
people.
And snowy, aren't they? Yeah.
Yes, we were just talking about that Monday night as you were mapping out our bowling season. It's like, well, we'd like to go 28 weeks, and if we start here, we'll end here. But that's assuming no snow days.
Well, Terry, you and I were just noticing coming in today, it was dark. And it seemed like just a couple weeks ago it was light.
It was sunny, yeah.
And I noticed last night, I went to the driving range, watching the ball go to the side, and instead of forward, but that's golf for you. And it was like 7:15, and maybe if it was cloudy, it just feels like it's getting dusk. It's darker, and I'm like, wait a minute, it felt like 9 o'clock, and it wasn't. So, anyway.
Yeah, I went to the grocery store last night about 8:30, and it's dark, and like, but gee whiz, it's only 8:30, and it's still summertime. We used to play outside until at least 9.
August, everybody's back to school, and it feels like fall. And then you go to a store and you see pumpkin stuff, which means in 3 weeks you'll see Christmas trees.
Freeze, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I wasn't close to the mic. Everybody, hello.
Yeah. I wanted to share with you something that happened to me yesterday. I got a call, like many of you do, from telemarketers. And instead of cutting it off, because the number looked familiar, I decided to answer it. And the first words out of the caller's mouth was, "I have happy news for you. You have been qualified," and I hit the ceiling. You have been qualified for, and I won't say what the product was because I don't want him to come after me. It could be any number of, but as soon as you hear it, you remember yesterday we were talking about handling telemarketers and numbers and the scammers and the people. When you hear somebody say, in essence, "Congratulations, you have won," what? You? On my phone. And I thought, it's another reminder. If you don't recognize the number, you have a choice. Let it go to your answering machine or hang up, terminate the call. Typically, what do the three of you do?
Well, so my phone a lot of times says potential spam, which means I'm getting a small canned ham in my, but that's not what it means.
Always.
No, but you're right. If I don't know it, I let it go to voicemail.
Okay.
If it's that important, they'll find me. If not,
Exactly.
and I always
they'll leave a
sometimes I'll
message.
go to the number and it'll say, like I'll look at it, it says call history, and if it's the first time that number's called me, I'm like, yeah. They're not that important.
But they do say last called Thursday, July 28th
right.
or something.
If they call, so if it's called several times, I'm like, I'll wait for a voicemail.
And they also are giving a little information on spam is nonprofit agency.
Yeah. The other
I
thing
haven't
you have to
seen
watch
that.
out for, and I've noticed this,
It's a little
like
tiny,
I'm getting,
tiny,
sometimes
tiny
you get
print.
texts and it's from a number you don't know, say, "Hi, how are you doing today? I haven't heard from you in a while," and I'm thinking, I don't know who that. That's a way they're texting you on a number, and it'll say, "Hi, how are you doing? Haven't heard from you so you're thinking, who is it I haven't talked to?" They'll find me, and then they never answer back. So you have to watch out for those too.
Yeah, yes, you do. What I've got, it sounds almost rude, but people say, "Hi, is this Terry?" And of course, not to say,
Never
"Yes,
say
it
your name.
is." But
Yep.
so I can now come back with, "Who is this?"
Yeah, good response.
I never
Because-
say, "This is Dave," I'll say, "Hello." That way you never say your name, and then you wait. And if there's a gap, a little bit of a time lapse, you know that it's automated.
Oh, yeah, that's what, especially because Mom's phone will ring all day long.
All day long.
All night, Marianne. Anyway, so I pick it up now, and if there's no immediate or I don't hear anything, then I just hang up because I've been told that if you do that, it like short circuits. As long as you don't make any sound, then it's like, it's short circuit, and then they won't call. And I have noticed the calls have gone way down from right
Have
after.
they really?
Yeah, from what it used to
What
be.
I'd say is you just take the phone, not being it, of course, and stand in the bathroom, not using it, and keep flushing the toilet. That'll keep them from going.
I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, don't use it, of course, and usually they don't go anymore. So.
I got another call that I did answer yesterday, and this is the one that is a little upsetting when they say, "Is Mr. or Mrs. Monroe there?" And that tells you there's no need to answer the phone. For one reason, my wife has been deceased since 2018. I did have a very pleasant voice, a female voice, say that, and I said rather firmly and sharply, "My wife has been deceased since 2018." And then I hung up. The idea is don't call me with that opening line in the future. Otherwise, you get the same. But that's rare. Most of the time, they're not that dumb to say, "We'll talk to anybody." You want to talk to my dog? He'll have something to say for you.
Rough.
Sure does.
However, in defense of them, these are people that are making a living, getting paid $10, $15 an hour, and maybe they get a bonus if they're able to talk to somebody in person.
Yeah.
So I do feel a little sorry because they have to go home. I don't know if you know, without naming the business, that's the kind of business they're in somewhat across the hall.
Well,
And they're nice people.
they're kind of collecting on debt, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
But they're nice people. I mean,
They
at
are.
least,
Just trying to
at
do the
least
best
to
they
us.
can,
I did telemarketing for about 6 weeks, long
did?
time ago.
Oh.
Yes, and it was a good thing. I mean, there was a mall in Effingham, and they were just getting off the ground, and they had like a small entertainment, and a small roller coaster, and so we're just giving away tickets. And I'd call and say, "Hi, we're starting this new adventure, and we've got some free tickets for you to come try it out." And some people would still just slam down the phone. And I got to the point, I used to say, at least, okay, not interested. At least it's better than just calling us names and slamming down the phone.
Yeah.
But the people nowadays are so rude that thank you, not interested doesn't cut it.
No, you're right. Well, we got to cut out of here. Speaking of that, thanks for being a part of our program. Thanks to Lacey Wild of wildtimeszoo.com or close to it. And, of course, Kevin Sullivan. And Tyrus, thanks for sports, as always.
Thank you.
Dave, thank you.
You got
See
it.
you again soon. And Terry, HR called and just indicated you could be off tomorrow.
Oh, good. I get to sleep in.
Yeah.
And we want to send a thank you to American
Palache
for giving us the goodies this morning.
Keeping us well fed.
Hallelujah.
Yeah,
To
great
those
stuff. Stop by there.
Have a great day, everybody. Remember, God loves you, and so do we.